What's up, gamers? This is I, the People's Machine, coming at you with another episode of the Gaming Roundtable. It's been a little while since I made a video. I know Christmas month is a little hectic, especially with work and the family stuff going on, so I know I haven't done much. I didn't do much last year to the month of December, obviously. I know that I was doing videos almost except for a couple days on that spectacular October that I had a lot of fun with. And I may have done one after that. I may not have, but like I said, outside of the car being stolen, and of course the last 2 weeks of Christmas, my fiance had contracted COVID-19. We are well now, but it was terrible, and I had it felt like I had the super flu, and it sucked, and I was not doing real well. And with New Year's and everything that was going on. So to be honest with you, being able to bounce back after being 2 weeks and now I'm finally COVID free and trying to swing back into work, I was trying to see what the next video was going to be, but then I thought about it, and it was going to be the end of 2021 review. Now, we don't really review games, but we can review a lot of stuff that happened in 2021 with the gaming industry. Now, I know a lot of this has probably already been covered, but tonight I do have here at the Gaming Roundtable sitting with me, the founder of Unpaid Gamers, my very, very close, personal, and dear friend of mine. You know him as the post-human guy, but my friend John. And John, welcome to the broadcast. And again, thank you for taking time out of your schedule, your busyness, and family and everything to join me and here at the Gaming Roundtable.
Yeah, not a problem. What's up, everybody? Happy to be here. Thanks.
All right. Long overdue, a little late. Want to say Merry Christmas to everybody late. Happy Hanukkah, of course, if you are on that side of things, obviously. And Kwanzaa and all the other holidays that are mixed in there. And also Happy New Year. I hope everybody's New Year's was safe and sound and everybody had fun. I was sick, so I couldn't do a whole lot for New Year's. Matter of fact, I actually didn't really game all that much while I was sick. It was more like sleeping and trying to get well. So it was kind of crazy to have that go on. And again, I'm on the mend, and everything's good now. I'm negative, and so things are good there. So I'm very happy about that. So let's just kind of.
I don't think I really done a whole lot of gaming this whole year. I kind of had some spurts, but.
Yeah, it's been one of those things where, after I lost my Switch, the car got stolen, and of course and luckily for Christmas, I got it replaced. Family members came through and pulled the resources. Yeah, and I got my Switch, another Switch, which is cool. I got the Animal Crossing edition, so that was kind of neat. I wasn't expecting that, and here we go, we got it, and so. I was actually playing it today for a couple hours because I've been kind of favoring the PS4 lately. Now that I'm well, I'm like, okay, I gotta get back into some gaming. So outside, I know you said you haven't been gaming much, John, but before we get into 2021 and the things that were going on, what have you been playing? What has been like some games? I know you had talked to me about Doki Doki Literature, and even though I'm not much into those visual novels, not to knock them, but you seem to really get into it and like it. So besides,
we can start there, I guess. So I didn't really hear much about it at all. Well, I guess when it came out, and then it just kind of started popping up. Like, it's one of those things. Like you going through sales or whatever, you're going through this, and like it keeps popping up Doki Doki Literature, and the stupid name that it is to me, because I never heard of it before. I was like Doki Doki, so I would like say it every time it would come up, like, I had no idea what it was, really. And I think I just looked at it just to see out of curiosity, and it was like anime visual novel stuff, which had zero interest for me. And then I was watching Happy Console Gamer, which is one of my favorite.
No, he's a great channel. Great channel, yeah.
And he was like doing his new game stuff episodes, and one of the newest ones, he picked it up. He said, "Oh, it was on sale, and I've been hearing nothing but crazy things about it." He said, "At first glance, it's like a visual novel kind of thing, and then it gets really weird supposedly, but he don't know anything about it. But so he went ahead and got to try it. So my wife was like, "Oh, well, that sounds cool. It got me interested now." So then I just started looking, and it was on sale on the PlayStation Network for $10.
That's good. That's a good deal. Yeah.
I went to Google it a little bit, and the first article I seen, thankfully, it said, "The less you know going in, the better."
Okay.
So I just closed the page and didn't look at anything. I just started it, and you know, I won't ruin anything, but it does start out like really just a straight kind of happy visual novel kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Not really anything I'd be interested in for the most part, but it was fine enough. You know, you go through the stuff.
Yeah.
And then it does change, and it gets really weird, and honestly, it does some really cool stuff. So,
interesting.
It's one of those games that kind of break the fourth wall a little bit, and I don't know, it's cool. I'm happy to have it in my collection, and we played through it, and it was blast. So.
Well, that's good, man. Like I said, I play a lot of the anime games as they are, especially or anime-based style game that has the art style of anime, and a lot of the Ideal Factory games, like your Neptunia and stuff like that I play, because it's all based on like the game industry and stuff. A lot of the talking segments are kind of wordy, and they are almost visual novel. They're very close. They're on the cusp. If they went a little too long, you know what I mean. But they have a lot of gameplay in between a lot of things you're doing there and RPG stuff. So like, it's one of those things where it's like there's that fine line. But I'm glad that you enjoyed it and it was really interesting, because it's, you know, stuff like that has to have, given its nature, has to have something like that. You know, the funny thing is, though, after I told you that I wasn't really into the visual novel stuff, weirdly enough, I got them for $5 a piece. I don't even know why I was getting them, but I had bought those Vampire the Masquerade, like the Quarters in New York, and I bought those. And I guess it's because I like
for $5.
Yeah, I got them for $4.99 a piece. That was PS4. It was on sale. They were on sale during the October Spooktacular month. They just had this random sale of like random games, and
because I went to that Doki Doki one, and I was looking. Okay, well that was cool. So maybe I will give some of these a try. And I was looking at those, but they're already back up to full price. So.
Yeah, they are very interactive, and you get like a ton of dialogue choices. So it's kind of like even though they are talking and everything, and everything is, you know, kind of done that drawn kind of look. Because there's a lot of different choices, and you pick a character, then you name the character, and it's kind of like, so it's a little bit it is kind of visual novel, but it's a little bit more interactive. So maybe I don't like them, don't dislike them as much as I said to you in the text, because when I thought about it after, I was like, you know what? But I kind of like those vampire games, and even though they are highly interactive, it's still. You know.
I tell you what, though, you know, they're not created equal, because there's some that are literally you're just watching, and there's hardly any gameplay elements, and then there's others to where they do kind of cool stuff.
Yes.
Like, me and my wife finished the one, the Doki Doki thing, because we played through it together, and there's not really a lot of gameplay elements. It's kind of more like you get a few choices here and there, and kind of can pick things.
Yeah.
So we were making those decisions together and doing that stuff. But there's not a whole lot of interactivity.
Yes.
But we finished that up, and then we started playing the Phoenix Wright.
Yeah, the Ace Attorney stuff.
Stuff. And there's a lot more stuff in there. Like, you gotta know when to present evidence and know, you know, when to do stuff. So it's a little more interactive on that front. And I've seen the ones. I think. Does the Vampire Masquerade one? Does it give you like a map and you pick where to go?
Yes, you get a map of New York, and you go around, and you. Interesting enough, there's two of them, and you got the first game in the series, and then the second one. And the second one, Shadows of New York, over New York. You actually have even more choice, and everything in both those games. Not to compare it to like a Mass Effect or anything, but choices really do affect the way every single thing that you encounter in stories that go out. You can you get options to be like kind of a shitheel to people. You get options, and when you pick like your vampire person in the first game, for example, you have like there's the 3 different backgrounds, and so like you could be like a Bruja, or you could be, so they really do incorporate
like
that.
Knight, isn't it?
Yeah. And you end up and again, it's like they'll talk a little bit, somebody might walk in, you see them walk in, and then you get all these dialogue choices and all this other stuff. They're on the Switch as well, and they seem to always be on sale on the Switch. I just got them because I think at the time I was playing Immortal Realms, the Vampire Wars, because you recommended that. Yeah. That's a really cool game. I like it. And then I was like, and I started playing back through Vampire, which is a criminally underplayed, amazing RPG. If you haven't played it, play Vampire. It's excellent. And I was like, man,
there's not a whole lot of vampire games.
No, there's not. It's that weird genre. It's like that genre, pirates, certain things are just not, they just don't, if it's like Wild West.
And how awesome would it be to have a new, Legacy of Kain or something?
Yeah, I would love that. That would be great.
Because that had some awesome gameplay on its own.
Have you been playing anything else outside of Doki?
Yeah. We finished that. We're doing the Ace Attorney together.
Yeah.
But I'm playing through Halo Infinite right now.
Very good. That's gotten some stellar reviews.
It's awesome. I got really burnt out on Halo back in the day, I guess around 4. And that was when I decided to basically jump from the 360 to the PS4.
Yes.
And, I was just burnt out on Halo. Like, there wouldn't... I don't know how many times Master Chief had to show up in my life at that point. Like, it was great games, but
it's like,
I
geez.
want some more... I don't want sci-fi action. I want blood and violence and guts and stuff. So, a lot of the PlayStation exclusives at the time tempted me, but it's really been cool to go back now and play this, like, other than the Master Chief collection.
Because I know you had played it, and I know I eventually got around to playing it. Was like ODST and Reach was free, and I really liked ODST. I know that's kind of the redheaded stepchild in that series, but like,
but
I find it interesting reading about Infinite was like, hey, they got this. You can explore like the Halo ring. There's this open world aspect to it, or at least like a hub based thing, and then or you can go straight through. And so I think I got a buddy of mine that's playing it, and he's just loving it, and he's been a Halo fan for a long time. And I don't have anything new to really play that, but it would be one that I would totally like play if I could, just because like I find that as I've gotten older, I didn't always appreciate it, but I appreciate now what it's done. It's been around for fucking 20 years, and so
it's one of those iconic franchises that are it's there for a reason. It has its place. Now me getting, this is the first generation where I've had both systems.
Yes.
Xbox and PlayStation. So I don't really have any kind of, I don't know, like I'm not really pulled towards one system or the other, one franchise. So I'm not biased towards any direction really. So I'm kind of just enjoying stuff for what it is as it comes up that I'm interested in.
Yeah.
And I don't know, this one's a really great entry into the series, and for somebody who's been away for a few games, it's awesome because, of course it sounds great. The Halo soundtrack, of course.
It's
thumping and you're playing, and they got the drums and like all the things that I loved about the original that made me like it in the first place seems to really be well represented here. The open world stuff is cool, but it's kind of, I don't know. You know how that stuff is. Like, some games I think really benefit from a tightened, linear approach. And I'm not saying this is one, but there's things about it that, I don't know, like, there's vehicles in this, but sometimes you get in the spot to where you don't have one, and you're going for a long stretch without anything, and it's like, okay, let's get somewhere. But that's not really a big deal, and it's mostly avoidable. I do like the fact of there's a place, you can see in the distance where you got to go, and because of this damaged Halo ring, or this Halo ring that's kind of being rebuilt and stuff, like there's gaps in it, so you got to try to figure out how you're going to get to the spot you're trying to go.
Yeah, that's neat.
It's kind of a pain in the ass navigating, but it's kind of cool too. And one thing that I didn't really think I would like so much or care about is the grappling hook.
Yeah.
So I don't know why every character now needs a grappling hook, by the way.
Well, it's funny because it was one of the classes in one of my favorite games, Titanfall 2, which had a stupidly good campaign, but like in the multiplayer in particular, like one of the characters you can play as has a grappling hook, and boy do I love the grappling hook in that. Not because I'm using it against other players, it's just traversal wise, building, get on the roof, shoot here, shoot away. I mean, I use it for almost kind of a hit and run kind of thing, but you're right, it seems to be like, I mean, they put one in Call of Duty, they put one in here, it's like the grappling hook is...
Doom's got one there.
Yeah, it's like every first person shooter's got to have a grappling hook now, which is like, when did that become a thing? There's a guy in Apex Legends that has it, but it's like, I get that, Respawn made that too.
In both like Doom and Halo and stuff, like it is implemented well, and it is really satisfying because, in Halo, of course, you can level up your stuff, and you can level up your grappling hook, and you can have it to where it stuns enemies, basically.
Yeah.
So you can grapple them, and they're flashing stunned, and you're zipping towards them, and then you can just melee them. And you know how how addictive the Halo melee is.
Yes, the melee is great.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it helps with that because you can go across long distances quick and do that.
Mm-hmm.
So it is cool, but I'm like, another grappling hook. But
yeah. It's like
it's fun. I like it, and you can switch the active gadget or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And I leave that one on all the time, so I must like it enough to use it.
Yeah. Well, that's cool, and it's great that you got back into Halo and at a good time when Infinite's been outside of its somewhat microtransaction laden multiplayer, which is just par for the course because everybody does that. So what difference does it make? I don't want people to act surprised by it anymore. Like, oh my God, I'm like, everybody does it. So why is that a thing? But I personally, the two games that I have been playing have been Far Cry 6, which I've been generally enjoying. There's some frustrations with it I have, but it's interesting because I had picked up. It was for 15. I got Blood Dragon, and now I have every Far Cry there is. So on my PlayStation, I got from 3, 4, 5, 6, New Dawn, all expansions, all everything. So I'm not missing anything. And 6 is pretty good, albeit more or less. If you've played Far Cry, you've played this one, especially if you've played 3 or 4 or 5. The only difference is the removal of skill trees, and now you get like clothing that gives you like perks, kind of the way Generation Zero does it. And there's some other things that's different about it than other Far Cries, but it's more or less what you expect out of a Far Cry. The map is...
Yeah, I haven't played a Far Cry since maybe 3.
Yeah, you missed... There's been some good ones, but 5... in Montana was really good with the cult and all that. That was a neat take instead of you fighting some random dictator. Most of Far Cry 6 is based around a world that's very similar in design to Cuba. Apparently the developers went and visited Cuba and actually talked to like old guerrillas that fought the old regime, that Batista, that was the name of the guy who ran it, and kind of based a lot of that on there. But Far Cry 6, its map is ridiculously big, and so it's typical Ubisoft, 10,000 icons, and the map is just massive, and you might be on one part of the map and I'm gonna pick this mission, and it'll make you go 6,000 meters the other way. I'm like, I'm not even trying to do that. It's like, it's just too far. So they kind of yeah
have they no, I don't know, this is probably a dumb question, but like, how is stealth in Far Cry these days?
It's not, the stealth in Far Cry is improved, but it's more or less what it's been. they've slowly improved the stealth elements from 3 to 4 to 5. Obviously, New Dawn, which is a direct sequel to 5. It's only Far Cry that's a direct sequel to anything. Actually, ended up being one of my favorite in the whole series. New Dawn's great. A lot of RPG elements, a lot of stuff like that. It's just a great game. 6's stealth is, you have snipers, you have, your bow and arrow. But they did this thing that it's like you have different ammo types now, and you have like armored enemies, and you use this gun that has this ammo. And you can switch ammo types for really any gun, but like you can be like, oh, well, I'm going to use, and you can mod it and change it. They have like a gunsmith kind of thing going on with it, but you're like, okay, I'm going to use, okay, now I'm fighting this guy who's not armored, so I'm going to switch to this weapon. And the armored and unarmored thing reminds me a lot of Wolfenstein Youngblood, which had that same thing. So some people didn't like that because Youngblood implemented it in a way that was kind of like, shit, because it's just the way it is. You play it and you're like, oh, I gotta switch weapon. Oh shit, I gotta. Where it was almost not a chore, but you're like, they would send different types of enemies. The way they did this is you can just change your weapons on the fly. So even though there's a workbench, you can go, I'm gonna switch out, and they got different kinds of ammo now. Like they've got incendiary ammo and poison and blah 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 blah. So and then you got a lot of super specialized like guerrilla weapons that are like these over the top. Like there's a fireworks launcher, and I got one that launches like audio CDs and just weird, interesting thing. And then you get these weird, different types of backpacks that like one shoots rockets that like home in on a target, but it'll go into third person when you do it. There's one that does like an EMP blast. So they tried to add some new stuff to it. But the overall formula is exactly the way you remember from 3. It's take over a base and do this. You don't have to climb towers or anything, but like if you were to jump back into it with 6, and bypass 4 and 5 and New Dawn, because I'm always recommending New Dawn to people. Like New Dawn's great, but like they 6 is again. The biggest single issue I have with it is the guy that plays the main villain. Like, you don't see him very much in the game, and he doesn't even know who the fuck you are. Where, like, Voz knew who your character was, Pagan Min knew who your character was, the deputy and John Seed had this dynamic in the game from the onset. That's how it's always been. And this character, you're just like a cog in a wheel of this rebellion, and this guy, he don't even care or know who you are. So it's kind of like, because he's trying to rule this country, so you're just like, you don't get that same level of interaction. And that kind of started with New Dawn in a way. So I feel, but like I said, it's, a lot of people have said that if you play 6, there is these new elements to the game. There's some really neat things that are going on, but then they do silly stuff like, there's this set of clothes you can get that every time you kill something, it heals your vehicle. Like your vehicle just heals. I don't know why. It's some kind of mechanic thing, like outfit. Well, if you get in a tank and you go from one side out to the other, even with a max like wanted meter or whatever you want to call it, I mean, and you just boom kill something, because it almost kills everything in one hit. You're like, oh, there's all my health back. The tank, you literally are indestructible. You cannot be killed. Nothing can kill you, no matter what it is, because every time you're killing something, your tanks, oh, my health's back. The tank's back to normal. Oh, the tanks. It's so broken, and it's just like, that's silly as hell. But they just, but other than that, like, it's not a bad game by any stretch. Now, I did not pay full price for it. It was on sale. I got it half off.
It was on sale a lot.
Yeah, but I picked it up, and I'm glad I did, because I have been enjoying it. The companion system's back in, but you first get an alligator, and then you get like a little dog that's crippled, that's named Chorizo, and he's like a little dachshund, and you can tell them to go there, and people go, oh, what a cute dog and stuff, and you go up and kill them. I mean, it's like they have different attributes, but like the ones that do damage and attack, like the gator and stuff, it's like they're kind of slow. And the companions were better in New Dawn, than they were in this, because all the companions in the new one are animals. Like, you can't get like a buddy for hire, and you can't get, like, New Dawn had a dog, and I used the dog because the dog actually levels up and ranks up. And so, like, if he's a rank 3 dog and there's rank 2 or 1 enemies, they're done, right? So it's like, I like the fact that you leveled up your companions. And this one, they do rank up, but you just, all they get's like they level, but they'll get like 3 skills unlocked for them. But the companions are, I could really take it or leave it. Half the time I forget they're even there, where before I would always be like, oh, I need my buddy, I need my companion. So again, it's like they changed stuff for the worse, but it's still such a solid game for its gunplay and its traversal with the wingsuit but they also added stuff that, like, oh, you can go to this base and you can see like things covered in red, and you're like, okay, that's destroyable. But it just immediately makes me think, was this like first person Just Cause? Because that's exactly what it feels like. But this,
I have this thing with Far Cry. I don't know. I don't know that it's really a fault of it, but it's never the game that I want it to be is the problem. Mm-hmm. And like it, so I just don't have the strict just no buy rule. Like, some of them's almost tempted me. Primal almost tempted me.
Primal's great.
Shit like and like they'll be giving it away like price wise, and I still just won't get any of them because I realized, like, I would always try them because they'd look good and they'd rope me in, and then I'd be playing. I'm like, I don't enjoy these games.
Yeah.
And a lot of it had to do with the stealth, which is why I asked.
It's
because you
improved.
get this big open world, and you could because it's kind of how it was. It was one of the first kind of more open world shooters.
Yes.
In a sense. Like, you could approach any of these situations
however you wanted,
in any direction you want, but yet the stealth was so broken. Like, what's the point? Because you end up just gunning in anyway.
Well, they still do the thing where you you throw a rock, and this one's a baseball, but you throw something and distracts them. They're like, huh, what's that? And then you can go up and like you could still get like a 2-in-1 attack, or you can like distract one guy and boom, right in the back of the head with an arrow, pick up the body, make him disappear. It's the exact same stealth, essentially. It is refined, but it hasn't changed much since 3. It just hasn't. So I hate to say that.
People love the game series, and they keep making them. So they're always
I'm a big fan of Far Cry. Yeah.
It's not for me. I've decided.
Yeah. And folks, I want to preface this. My friend here, my great friend here, he got me in the Far Cry when he kept suggesting I play 2 on the way back in 360, like 2011, 2012, whatever, years ago. And you were playing it. I started playing it. I fell in love with the game, and I've pretty much played them all since and owned them all. So it's weird how that works. It's funny how that works. Where it's like I still play it.
2 was my favorite though, and I actually love the map creator and stuff on 2.
Yes, 2 had a good map creator. They did a good job
of course, that was back in PC though. I think did they port that over when they?
It was on 360. Yeah, the map editor was on 360. Yeah. Well, I tell you though, if you want to talk about map editing, which a lot of people were upset they took it out of 6, was Far Cry 5 had an arcade editor, and I could type in something like, oh, Star Wars, and someone did the entire Hoth level, and you can just play it solo against bots, and people put they almost look like stormtroopers. They put certain weapons that are like, oh, it's a laser. It's heavily editable. That arcade thing, you should go on YouTube, look at it, man. There is some crazy stuff. People did aliens, people did this, it's so complex that I was like, I don't even want to bother with it. I'll just download stuff what people's made, because in Far Cry 5's arcade editor is cool, because you'll come across, you'll take over a base or a small little area, and you'll go to the store there, where someone set up shop now, and the arcade will be in the corner. You go there, and boom, you can go straight to it from while you're playing the game if you just want to take a break.
That's pretty cool.
It's very cool. 5 was good. 5 was one of my favorites because you weren't fighting a dictator. You were fighting a cult guy, a cult leader who had taken over all of Montana, and it's the entire state of Montana. And that one introduced fishing. Yeah, and you can fish. It's huge, but you can fish, and they had these. It just had it just ticked all the boxes because they really did this great job. Because like Joseph Seed is, I mean, you kind of like you hate him, and you're like, oh my god. And plus 5 introduced like the creative player. So you create your own person from scratch, and you pick your hair and clothing and stuff, and you can change your clothing and buy stuff. So they try to do a lot of that open world stuff you see in other like third-person open world games, and it was kind of neat because you got to. My character wears like he looks kind of like a Rick Grimes looking character. You know, he's got the hat, he's got like the the beard, and you can change it around. And 6, they took that out because New Dawn also has a creative player. But they took that out of 6 because they were like, we wanted to focus more on either you could play male or female, but we wanted to focus more on this whole family dynamic and this and that. And so they're like, we wanted to create characters that would fit the world better. So they took out the creative player, which I was like, oh, that sucks. It's like, so, but I think they did that because of its region, it's like, yeah. The only thing that's cool is there's a mission where real quick, though, there is a mission in the game that you're this main old gorilla guy that gives you weapons and helps you out throughout the whole game. He's a great character. His voice acting is great. He's friends with Danny Trejo, the actor. And your guy's like, oh, bullshit, And he said, no, for real. No, there's a mission where you actually go guns blazing in this base with Danny Trejo. It's Danny Trejo. It's his voice. It's everything. It's like... That's brilliant.
Yeah.
It was so like bizarre to see. Well, what the fuck, right? So that was cool. That's one thing.
Like okay, so nothing new, obviously, and I'm told news for most of it, but the Gears of War series.
Yes.
Which I know you're not a huge fan of, but Gears of War 5, I think it is. One of the characters you can play of is Batista, the wrestler.
Oh, really, Dave Batista? That's neat.
Yeah, and it really came because he really wanted them to do the Gears movie, and he wanted to be in it so bad, and I guess it just never got off the ground, so they just put him in the game.
That's great. That's really cool.
I think it's multiplayer. I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't played it, so I don't know about that.
Well, it's funny. It's so bizarre. Like, I couldn't get into the first couple games. I have a better appreciation for the later games. Interestingly enough, with cover mechanics, a game I bought, again, it was on sale. I bought it recently, a few days ago, and it's been really difficult to put down. Is the Aliens game, the Aliens Fireteam Elite.
Oh, yeah.
And that game is, I thought it was going to be one way, and it ends up being this great game. You could play offline, you could play with bots. They're pretty competent. You play with like Android from Wayland Yutani, but you make your own character. You pick hairstyles and faces. There's 6 different classes, so it's almost like they took the World War Z formula or Left 4 Dead formula, but then they included all these weird RPG mechanics, and you can gunsmith your weapons and put like all this, this type of thing on it and that type of thing on it. You can put like, there's all these decals and cosmetics, and there's a bunch of different, like every character can unlock like all these different skins and unique looks, and you rank up. Each class can you level up that class, and you get new perks and skills, but it also has like the Gears of War, boom, hit the cover, roll over the cover, not roll, but you go over the cover, and it does all that.
It's still pretty satisfying.
Yeah. And then the aliens, like everything, you shoot them in the arm enough, boom, there goes their arm, there goes their head. The acid hits the ground in a big pool, and it's actually bubbling, and it looks like it's like hot and caustic, and then eventually fades, but if you run across it, you take damage. They did this because of the leveling system and the mechanics and the RPG, but then there's like a bunch of like missions, but they're like the first section's like 3 missions, and you're done with that part of the campaign, and you go to the second campaign, third. And once I beat the first one, it was like, oh, checkpoint, but you could go back to the main ship in orbit, and you can walk around and talk to people and go to like a requisition shop that does like the ammo and stuff and different guns. And I'm like, well, shit, they got this hub that you can continuously go back to and do stuff. And I was like, I would never have guessed the game had any of this in it, right? I didn't, because I looked into it, but every time I saw it, it was just people shooting aliens. I was like, well, it looks fun. It was on sale, $27 or whatever, and it's still on sale for the day, because tomorrow is the end of the holiday sale. But I was like, I would never guess this had like classes and create your own person and like you pick a voice. I'm like, that's so cool, and it's so much fun.
Is there's things like that don't really get enough coverage, or it's not that they don't get coverage, but it's like the wrong kind. Like, it's like, oh, this game sucks. It's not Alien Isolation or whatever. And then move on to something else. Or, you know, it comes in the mix of like a couple larger games. That's what everybody else wants to cover. So some of these things like that, it's hard to really find.
Yeah. Well, I think
information on.
What happens with a game like this is, you got all these aliens run at you, and then you have like one that can explode, and one that's like the warrior, which is like the really like the normal big aliens, and it's got the different types of like how they do the zombies in Left 4 Dead or Back 4 Blood. You know, Back 4 Blood just came out, which is really good, and it's like, well, we're gonna do this. World War Z added a feature, an upgrade, and you can play that game in first person now. So it which is really changes the whole scope of that game, but it's great, and they added some new World War Z. World War Z did that.
Oh, okay,
you can play in first person now. I got that upgrade, and it added like all new levels and new classes and new this, and I was like, and the fact that when you play in first person, it's like, well, shit, this just turned into Left 4 Dead, and it's excellent. But like, I think Back 4 Blood came out, and this Aliens came out, and you're like, well, shit, why is there like, it's like your fire team is composed of 3 people, not 4, but it's like, well, a fire team is 3 people. But the fact that it had all this, Jim Sterling actually, well, he kind of said it wasn't the best game. He said he just couldn't put it down. It was just so much fun. Skill Up liked it. Everybody seemed to really like it, so I gave it a chance. Angry Joe liked it. So I was like, well, everybody seems to like this game, and I like the concept. You got all these aliens, and they're coming from everywhere, all over the walls. Oh, shit, you got to shoot this, shoot that. Yeah. There's all these different classes that play. They level up. They got all the role play game, and then the walking around the HUD. I'm like, this is great. I can just walk around this hub world, talk to different people. So it's kind of like all that unexpected stuff in this game, and the shooting is satisfying and solid. It's got all the sound effects from the movies. You even visit like the engineers, like one of the engineered planets, and like it's got their statues there, so it's got all that alien lore stretched across Prometheus. They talk about Sevastopol, like from Alien Isolation. They talk about, so it's like you learn about all this stuff, and it just pulls from everything. And I was like, wow, I can't believe this game is not getting any kind of press when it really is. It is really
I've seen it
cool.
Came out, but
it's excellent.
That's all I know.
Oh,
it's not good. I hadn't looked at any videos. I hadn't seen it pop up anywhere. So
well, that's been
as much coverage as it's getting.
Well, that's the first. Those are the 2 games that I have probably been playing the most, just because, you know, I do love Far Cry, even though I have issues with 6. I still just I find myself like, man, I've been playing this for like 3 hours. What the fuck? And then I'm like, and then this Aliens game, I'm like, it's just so good. Like, it's so good. And who would have thought that Aliens would be so good for that? And they just added a horde mode if you just want to play horde mode and just, you know, whatever. But like, they absolutely nailed the game. Well, real quick, we've been talking about for like 38 minutes the stuff we've been playing and stuff, but we really need to get into this 2021, man. And
yeah. Okay.
I know.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold that thought for a second.
Okay.
So I don't want to get too far removed from the level creator thing.
Yeah.
It really has nothing to do with anything recent at all.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to tell you though, for whatever reason, it popped up on my Twitter that these games were on sale for Xbox. And
okay.
Backwards compatibility, but it's Time Splitters Future Perfect and Time Splitters 2.
Get out of here! Are you serious?
And they were like $250 a piece.
They're like the best games ever. I love the Time Splitters.
Yeah, I don't have them anymore. I got rid of them back in the day, I guess. I think because they traded in for.
Oh, if I had an Xbox, I would buy them right now.
So yeah, $5 for both of them.
Oh yeah, you gotta get them. You gotta get them.
I know, so I had to tell you because you remember
Yeah, dude, because we used to play, especially Future Imperfect, which was amazing. Yeah. You actually, I don't know if it was the second one or the third one there, but you had remade the facility. It was,
I was trying to remember.
It was so crazy. From GoldenEye, those games had great multiplayer, great single player, lots of characters, great. I absolutely love the Time Splitters. In particular, I like Future Imperfect probably more than all of them. The third one just really refined everything, and it was such a solid game. So, outside of Doom having
well, at the time anyway, it was one of the few games that you could play bots. So,
it was very, very. Yeah, there wasn't much of that, but I had them on the GameCube, so it was like, loved it. It was such a great game. Well, like I say, that's awesome. That's awesome. If it just anybody that ends up watching this video, just go immediately and buy those games. If you've never heard of them, don't worry about it. These are the people who this was made by free radicals who left Rare, formed their own group, and they had worked on GoldenEye 64 and Perfect Dark. And that if you want to replay something that's incredibly similar to that, but a little bit more advanced, go buy those right now. If they were $20 a piece, I would probably still get them because they are that good, and they're amazing games. Well, anyway, a lot of what we're probably going to talk about has been covered, but it's always good to get a fresh perspective on things. And talking about 2021, holy cow! So a lot happened, everybody, in the gaming industry, and there's a lot of stories out there. We're just going to kind of reflect and talk briefly about some of the things that was going on. And I'm going to get your opinion because I don't think we've even talked about it, but I have my kind of take on it and did a little bit of research into it when it was happening. But let's get into a serious subject. Let's talk about a little bit about this Activision Blizzard walkout, man. And they fired J. Allen Brack, who was the head of like the WoW stuff and the Diablo stuff, and he's gone. And all this bad publicity they've gotten, and not only that, it's affected the games. Overwatch 2, Diablo 4 has been delayed indefinitely, so we don't even know when those are going to come out now because of the two walkouts that occurred, the sexual harassment. And we'll just kind of bounce into the fact that Ubisoft also experienced not a walkout, but a lot of like bad mojo juju happening there, and of course Bobby Kotick himself being asked to step down, and it's just been a lot. It seems like these game companies that I have supported for years, right? Like have always bought a lot of their games, Activision, all that stuff. Ubisoft, I don't know what, I have a tendency, and we were just talking about Far Cry, and then to find out that they've been harassing the women there, low paying them, there's been racism issues, there's been so much bad going on, and then nobody doing anything about it, and everybody dropping the ball. And I know you, John, you've bought games from those companies too, and it almost makes me go, man, why am I buying their games? They don't deserve that. But I thought, but those developers, they got to get their money. So it's like the people who are just coding, they may have nothing to do with some of the upper echelon people doing bad stuff, or even if it's across the board. So that was a thing that happened. It was a big story. It was all over YouTube. What's your take on it? Like, I'd love to hear because again, me and you both have bought games from those companies like for years.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I don't really care.
Okay.
Okay. No, I kind of don't though, right? Like the end product is what matters to me. Only because, not that I really want to support or not support practices that a company does.
Yeah.
But you're talking these super large corporations. Right?
Yes.
Like that stuff goes on everywhere.
Oh yeah.
Right, and those companies, because they're so large, like departments are so compartmentalized a lot of times. Like one side doesn't know what the other side's doing.
Yes.
And stuff like that, like different policies for different style of workers or departments or whatever. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. And we're in this age to where allegations means you're guilty.
Yes, this is true.
And things get pumped on the web and become a thing to get behind for...
Yeah, this is true.
Whatever reason, right? So, I don't know. I mean, I would feel terrible for anybody who is impacted negatively who work for any of these companies. But, you know, that goes the same for Kroger or Walmart or, you know, PlayStation, Universal Pictures, like whatever it is.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't. So it doesn't really matter to me. I would like for all large companies to treat their employees well, but that's unrealistic in the first place.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like it's. Anytime it was everything was mentioned, it's funny. It was all the upper echelon management people who make like the crazy money, and I guess because they've got that kind of money and they've got that kind of power and that kind of sway, I guess it's easier for them to say, well, you know what the fuck are they going to do to me? You know, because without me, you know, blah, blah, blah. Now, some companies, like I said, Jay Allen was unceremoniously fired, like, you're done here, and he probably won't work again anywhere. And other people in those groups, and it's unfortunate that it happened because now you've got games from different companies on huge delay because there's investigations going on, there's lawsuits going on, there's a lot of money involved, a lot of people. Some people have actually been like, hey, you still work here, but you get to go home for a while. We're going to suspend, and we're going to... So it's... And on top of the COVID-19 pandemic, that's still a thing. It's not gone away. And especially with viruses mutating and variants and all that stuff, and with supplies running short, it's a shame that these allegations and lawsuits and true stuff that's happened or whatever and everything else, the games, a lot of the games that were supposed to have been out last year did not come out. And there's a lot this year that's been like delayed months, and it's kind of like, if not till next year. And it's like, wow, you know, that's crazy that because of the bad stuff that happened at these companies, it filtered all the way down to what you were saying, like the product. And now we have to wait, and it's not because, you know, they're trying to program it and you're doing whatever. It's because they're not working on them. You know, because of everything else going on.
These other outside factors.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. You know, the art suffers, and you know, you can say, like, I'm sure it's absolutely true. There's some of these higher people that are untouchable in their eyes. You know, but there are also people that are just targets because of their position.
Yeah.
Or they're the scapegoats. That well, okay, shit's going on, so I better resign.
Yeah. Or
you know,
we're going to make an example out of somebody.
You know, so, like, how are you ever supposed to determine as a consumer on my level really what the real deal is? And it's unfortunate because it's all the gamers, us gamers, that pay the price for...
Ultimately,
You know, and, I mean, and I guess, I don't know, that's not really fair either. Because, you know, there's people who really care in these positions, and it's their art that suffers, too, as a result of, you know, fuckery going on in these places. So... I don't know. It's an unfortunate thing, and I think as games become more sophisticated and smaller companies get absorbed, like this stuff is gonna happen more and more, and that's why indie games are so awesome.
Yeah.
And need to be supported as well, because it's, you know, it's like it's the new generation of smaller studios that we don't have as many of anymore. You know?
Yeah, and that's true because. I was playing about a week ago. I was playing Greedfall by Spiders, which is one of my favorite companies. They've only made about 5 or 6 games, and they made Bound by Flame, Technomancer, and on the PS4, Greedfall, which Greedfall was probably one of the only RPGs that's gotten the most press for them. And Desiree was watching me because she got it because they gave it away for free 1 month. And which I didn't even know that. I was like, how did I miss that? But I already owned it. But I told her, I said, what makes it so good is it's like they still had that. They were people who just loved BioWare games back in the day. And so it has some of those elements. I said, but Greedfall was their big source for them on that game was, hey, you know what? We're not going to, and they're a small company. They were like, we're going to not put any fetch quests in this game. And they were like, you're kidding me. And people thought they were lying. And like, oh, come on. That's in every RPG. And they didn't. There is none in the game. And they made it work. And it's really interesting because they bothered to put, I mean, even Witcher 3, which is an amazing RPG, has fetch quests in it. So it's kind of like, and it's weird to see
another RPG that don't really.
And an indie company to come out with something like that and be like, we made a conscious effort to not do that stuff. And I've always supported them because they've always tried. They use their own engine. They use everything. And like you're right, those indie
are so important to support.
Yeah,
and, I mean, how many companies have you seen swallowed up by EA over the years?
Like everybody. Like they buy them and then they shut them down. And they keep the name. Everybody's all like, hey, BioWare made Anthem, for example. I was like, that's not the BioWare that made KOTOR. Those people long since left that company. The people that you remember making the original Mass Effect ain't the people that made Andromeda. I mean, it's just not that Andromeda was bad. I mean, Andromeda, I still don't think was a bad game. I enjoyed Andromeda. So, did I enjoy as much as the Mass Effect trilogy? No, but I thought Andromeda was still good because it was more Mass Effect. Come on.
Yeah, I loved it.
But those indie titles and those companies I'm always looking at too because I have and own dozens of indie games and they're just great. They're just great. I mean,
my favorite publisher right now of anything is Wales Interactive, and they do the FMV games.
Yes.
But that's what they do. They just they have a love for that genre and they just pump them out. There's one every couple months or so. I buy everything they put out just because I love those, and I just like that they support that. And and it's not EA, it's not Ubisoft, it's not
big giant companies.
Whatever. But I love indie games.
They're great. I mean, almost probably 80% of the games I played for the Spooktacular October was indie shit, and I mean, you checked out a lot of that stuff, and it's like, man, like Affliction and different games were like, wow. The War of the Worlds game, Gray Skies, that game's great. They did a sequel too, and that came out. And I'm like, wow.
Before, I feel like I've been playing the same handful of games for 30-something years.
Yeah.
It's like, so anytime something breaks the mold and does something different, I want to check it out. And half the time it's because it's an indie game. Because it's not big budget, there's not millions of dollars on the line. It's just this passion project or something I wanted to make. And that's why I bought Doki Doki Literature Club for $10. Because it seemed like it was going to be different for me. So,
No, and that's the thing. Like I said, to go back to what I was saying with these companies, with Ubisoft and harassment, all the other stuff going on, Activision and on everything that we already know about Blizzard. I feel sad that these people, if it happened, and I feel like some of it did. I'm like, and I feel bad for those people because they were in that environment and have to experience that. But I also, so my heart kind of goes out to them on that end. But at the same time, flip side is, I think it's a shame because the actions of just a few individuals, right, like, makes us, the consumer, have to wait for some of the games to come out now. And like I said, some of these have been delayed indefinitely. Like, we don't know when. We just don't know because of everything going on. So you go like, wow, really? So you kind of were excited for one game, and now you're like, well, it ain't gonna come out for another year and a half, so I don't, whatever. So I feel like it's sad that just a few individuals kind of fucked it up for everybody, and I think that's sad that there wasn't that oversight there. But like you said, this is rampant in other companies. I think the Blizzard Activision walkout just kind of made a big, oh, they walked out? Why are they leaving the offices? What? And I think it just became a big spotlight, a big target, and now it's just Pandora's box is open, and so now we know, and everybody knows. So it's just one of the stories in 2021 in the game industry that I felt was like, it was just there for months, and they kept talking about it. A lot of channels that I watched covered it. Young Yao covered it. Skill Up, a bunch of different people covered it that I watched. So it's interesting. So
let me ask you a question. So
hold on a second. I got a message from one of our viewers. Realm YT says, "Does Evolve server still host games?" No. The servers are shut down. When they shut down, everyone's progress was reset back to level 1 and everything. You can still play with the bots. You can play against bot monsters and bot whatever, but as far as it goes, as you playing with people, that's a done deal, man. So I hate to say that, because Evolve was one of my favorite games that Turtle Rock made, and Turtle Rock was just bought out by a company. So there you go. I think they're owned by Nacon or one of those Korean companies. But no, unfortunately, you can still play the game, but you cannot play with people. The servers are done, and it's strictly an offline thing. So that answers your question. Yeah, no, exactly. It's such a shame, because you know what? I was so far and deep into the game and had so much stuff unlocked and leveled up, and then they shut the servers, went back to offline, and that's it. And I had everything
on, though.
Yeah, right? They kept it on. It wasn't like Battleborn is done. Battleborn can no longer be played ever again. Ever. So it's like and I actually took my copy, and I had was playing it, and I took my copy and just in the garbage, because it was a paperweight. It was a coaster at that point. So I was like, there's no reason for me to keep it, because when you loaded it up, all it said was, yeah, you're right, it was a good game. But yeah, it's such a shame that those stuff happen. But Realm YT, thank you for the message and stuff, man. I always appreciate people who, even though this is, a little off topic, but it's great to see that another fan of Evolve that's out there. So that's, but still play it. You can still play it. It costs it's basically no longer, it's been delisted from the stores, but you could probably find it at GameStop for like $2 or some shit. So just go pick it up and play offline. It's still a blast. So, but no, that was one of the big stories, and I wanted to talk about that just briefly, because I felt like it's a thing that affected so many people and so many consumers and people like you and me, who are like, I find myself, like, especially Ubisoft, where I'm like, a lot of the stuff they do, I'm like, meh, but like, all their games always have a really interesting concept behind them, so I find myself always buying them, from the Far Cry's and Rainbow Six Siege, and I bought Wildlands, and I bought Breakpoint, and I love Watch Dogs Legion. That's such a great open world game, especially when they did the Assassin's Creed crossover. That's amazing. You actually get to play as an assassin. They do become one of your characters on your team. They brought in Aiden Pierce. You can play as Aiden from the first game. You can play as what's his name from the second game, Marcus or whatever. It's just great game. But anyway. What I'm trying to say, that's just a story I want to talk about. It's good to get your point of view on it, because,
Yeah. So my question, I guess, for you, so with that, though, moving forward, do you think, because I don't think that's going to get any better.
No.
Across the board, right? Because the game development times are so long.
They're very long,
You're talking about these projects now. Used to, a game would be in development for 6 months, couple months, a year, 1 to 2 years. Now it's 4, 5, 6 years, longer sometimes.
Yes.
So I feel like teams are going to have issues and get swapped out more often, and I feel like projects are going to continue to suffer because we're in this larger scale machine now.
Yes. No, I know. I feel that way, because games do take such a long time to be developed, and I'm with you on that, because I feel like you have all this development going on, and you have, like, these games that take 1, 2, 3 years, whatever it's taking, and delaying it and whatever you're going to do. I mean, those windows, for example, of launch titles, launching stuff, is very, very narrow. So they're like, they try to get that stuff out there. And then the other flip side I've thought about too is like, well, what if, because the company's like, okay, well, we said we would have this out, so just get it out there, and then we'll patch the shit out of it later, like Cyberpunk, so it's like, yeah, well, and Cyberpunk, to its credit, I mean, they have patched that game so many times now. I was playing it.
I love that.
I was playing it a few days ago. Yeah, I was playing it a few days ago, and I was like, I love the fact that everything's basically been fixed, and they've done this really crazy big update recently, and it's like, it's a different game as far as the way things now play out, and so the open world's more interesting, and I feel like there's so much more to do and see in that game, so go check that out. But no,
it's also, however, one of my biggest disappointments for 2021.
It is. No, you're right, 2021.
Well, it came out 2020 technically.
Yes.
But the next gen releases, like, it's delayed, and it's supposed to be this first quarter.
Yes.
So, like, because I want to go back, I want to just start over now.
Yes.
Just play them, but I'm holding off until the next gen releases, just to play them, you know, with as much.
Well, it's funny.
Fanciness as I can, I guess.
After that last big patch for Cyberpunk, I did start over. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna play a corporate guy again because I just like the corporate setting. And I'm going to play that, and I'm going to see from the beginning what's been fixed. There was all these little things that were like, with the game, but now it's like all that's gone, and it's just so much better of a game. I used to get a bug all the time where it's like someone would call you, and the conversation's over, but the window and their picture would still be up there, them animating, and you're like, what the hell is that? That is gone. That does not happen no more. They changed the way that the wanted system works with the police, and it feels more like a GTA style, and they changed the cars control better. Yeah, that's gone away. All that's gone. And they've added a lot more to Night City to do as far as dynamic little events that happen, and like they added a bunch more new types of clothes and new weapons, and they've just done a lot to that game. And Cyberpunk was, to me, one of those 2021 stories where, like, this was supposed to be, like, wow, because, no offense to CD Projekt Red, because The Witcher 3, for example, was such a beloved and huge game for them, and they worked for a long time on it, and it was pretty much great at launch, and everything about it. I played through it, not all the way through, but through a big chunk of it, and I was like, this is one of the best RPGs I've ever played. So I think when Cyberpunk came out, you expected Cyberpunk to be on that level, and they just wasn't. And you find out all the stories that came out with that, which we had discussed before on one of the videos we did together, and it's kind of like, you know what, like, that was a disappointment. That's one of the big things. It's like, it's a great game, and I did enjoy the game even at launch because it was different and unique.
Yeah.
And just I mean, I've played first-person shooters. I've played open-world stuff. That game had a look and feel about it that was just different, and I loved that. Even though I was disappointed in it. It was like,
Yeah, I think. I was so excited for it, and I still did really love it at launch, and then I was kind of let down a little bit of parts of it, and then I just really hated to see the story that was unfolding about the whole game, reaction, and I hate that for any company, and I hate it for that, because there is a lot to love still. I'm happy, though, that they're continuing to stick with it, and they're still going through and patching the shit out of it. They're just within the past day or two, there's been some stuff about, I guess they've uploaded a new patch to Steam and are supposedly testing it out. So I feel like that big, the 1.5 or whatever it is update that's coming is about to hit. I just made that number up, I think. But the next gen stuff too. So I'm really waiting. I'm hoping for it. That's my biggest want for 2022 is that actual next-gen port so I can start over again. I just went and found the collector's edition on eBay, actually.
Very nice, very nice.
Fraction of the price, just so like I got the statue and I'm a sucker for lore books and shit.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I love the world that it's in. I love all that stuff. There's not very many cyberpunk games like in that world. I mean, they're kind of
not many.
But
the closest that you can get right now, is playing Mankind Divided Deus Ex, which is a cyberpunk-like world. You could play Foreclosed, which is an indie like third-person shooter slash
Ghost Runner.
Yeah, Ghost Runner. Ghost Runner is a cyberpunk world, and I played the demo of that. That's excellent. And then there's a third-person kind of shooter with Diablo-like mechanics in some respects called Ruiner, and you walk around like a little city hub world, and there isn't much. They're there. There's even
What's the one? I don't know if it's only on Xbox, but I thought you were going to say it, but it's not Ruiner. It's
Ruiner's on everything,
Yeah,
and Ruiner's great.
Else.
Ruiner's great, by the way. It's a fantastic game.
But it's shit. You keep talking, I'll figure it out.
Here's another story.
Oh, The Ascent. That's what.
Oh, The Ascent. Yes, that came out. Although, you know what's funny? It showed up on some YouTubers' disappointing games of the year, so I don't know.
Yeah, fuck 'em.
But, you know, it could, it could be. It looks, when I saw a video on it, I was like, that looks really cool. I don't know what.
It looks awesome.
Yeah, so that's another cyberpunk. So it's interesting that.
Cloudpunk.
Yeah, Cloudpunk was really good. I owned that. I'm kind of disappointed that they patched in like a first-person vehicle mode, so you see inside your vehicle, you fly around that way. But they didn't put that on consoles, just the PC. So it's like, man, they need to patch that in the consoles because people say it's so interesting to play inside your vehicle and you can see the stuff in your vehicle and drive around. I was like, yeah, that would be new. Now here's another one that's a story that everyone's pretty familiar with. Due to the microchip shortages, we're running into the second year and people still cannot get Xbox Series X's and PS5s because of the chip shortage, largely thanks to the pandemic and people not being able to manufacture stuff. Sony has actually ramped up production of the PS4, which is interesting.
How do you like that battle, by the way?
Yeah.
They ramp up PS4 and Xbox is like, we're done with Xbox One.
Yeah, they're not even going to, I'm sure they'll still update it and stuff, but they're not going to make it no more. They're just trying to focus on what so that's an interesting thing, but a lot of people are like, I can't get a 5, so I'll go get a PS4 Pro or I'll go get a whatever. And but that chip shortage is interesting because it's been going on now for a couple of years, and while some things, there was initial shortages, a lot of stuff's kind of came back and whatnot, but it's interesting that the chip shortage, I've always known over the years, and you've known this, like consoles come out and they might be kind of shy, but then 2, 3, 4 months into the next year, because it's always usually right at the end of the year when they put out something new, people are able to get them, and this is the first time it's been like, well, it's been like 2 years and we still can't get them, and it's kind of like, damn, so.
Yeah, I think PS2 was really scarce though, wasn't it? For a long
for a while, but it wasn't because of a pandemic and stuff. That was Sony. No. Yeah, I think a lot of that was Sony, like, not anticipating, like, it's like overall, oh my God, this thing, yeah, and that was one thing. But this chip shortage is still going on.
That's the last thing I can compare it to. Because I remember PS2s being gone forever.
Yeah, you couldn't get them. You couldn't get them. I remember that too because at Game Force.
That's why I got an Xbox.
When I worked there, they couldn't get them for a while. Yeah,
so I went to the PS2, I couldn't. So I
get an Xbox. But no, I think it's part of the story. And pandemic affected so much, and still is affecting. And it's interesting to go, wow, this one little chip shortage, and people could not get these systems. They couldn't even get Switch. The OLED new Switch was actually shorted. So Walmart in my town is getting like 2 every like couple weeks. And it's like, that's it. And it's like they can't get 5s. They can't get, nobody can get them.
That's messed up in the world though. Like, Amazon Prime shipping is no longer a thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it used to be 2 days or even the next day. And some things are still that way. But almost everything I order now, it just gives me a week time frame. And it's like somewhere within this date range.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I'm like, well, okay, I'm glad I paid for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand, but it sucks. But, I think everything's just breaking everywhere. Like, that sucks. Fast food's even worse than what it was.
Mm-hmm.
These companies are falling apart.
Yeah, I know.
It's always where the supplies. But I feel partially uneducated about this chip shortage, though, too, because I hear these things about PS5s having issues, but, when Xbox is still doing okay, they're kind of scarce, too. You hear about lots full of cars sitting because they don't have chips to put in them.
I feel like what's going on.
I can order freaking computers all day long and all that stuff. Like,
exactly.
There's got to be something that I don't know. And how much different is PS4 versus PS5?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard.
Regard, if you're just manufacturing it all. There's got. I don't know. There's got to be stuff. There's a reason, I'm sure.
What I know about it is, they cite the pandemic. They cite that workers. You think if you have a production line of chip makers, and let's say there's 50 of them, and 43 of them are out on COVID, right? So it's like shit. But then you get into, other reasons, because they also right now have a silicone shortage. And we make a lot of shit out of silicone, including like stuff we use in computers and stuff. So I feel like if the pandemic has caused all of that, it's weird, because when I think about, when I might, let's say me example, because I'll probably end up with PS5, by the time that it becomes readily available, whenever that may be, I mean, I'm looking at like, well, hell, the system will probably be 3 or 4 years old by then. Right, so it's like, it's like, I'd be about time to buy another one. If you
do want one, let me know, because I can get them still. I can get them an Xbox. I see them pop up all the time. There's always opportunities for me to get them. I understand the people who go in the store and it's not there, because it's not there. It's never there.
Yeah.
But they pop up regular available, and this was happening on launch. Like, I didn't keep them all, but I personally bought 4 PS5s.
Yeah.
For people, and I was getting them no problem.
And, that's interesting.
Everybody's like, "Oh, it must be nice." Online, they don't even sell PS5. I can't get it. Can't find. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. You're able to get them
right now. They're here.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can get that or an Xbox probably almost any time.
Yeah. The whole thing with PS5 was...
It's just still a shortage, for sure.
Yeah. The whole thing with PS5 for me was not that I didn't want to... Return, some of the games like Returnal look great and different games like that, but I was like, I really, really, really was interested in that Godfall game. I don't know why. I just thought it looked like WoW, and I like the concept. This melee game, there's loot, and I was like, that's cool. They don't usually do games melee with loot. So I was, and then they put it on PS4. I was like, okay, I'm good. I don't need a PS5.
Yeah.
I bought it on.
Things are both
and I didn't see that coming, because Godfall was a PS5 launch title. It's an exclusive title, so I was like, okay. But then, weirdly enough, the game came out. It kind of got shit on, but the weirdest thing about it is it's probably top 3 best looking game on PS4. It's incredible. I don't even know how they even able to do that. The graphics fidelity of that game on the 4, a 7-8-year-old console, is incredible. And but again, it just goes back to, well, I kind of wanted a PS5 for that game. Don't really need it, So it's like, so it came out on PS4. Here's another.
Let me tell you, before you go on to something else. One of my biggest surprise things of 2021 that I fell in love with, that I had no idea that I was even going to care anything about, was Hot Wheels Unleashed.
Yeah, you told me that was really good.
Amazing. It's one of the best racing games I've played.
It looks good. Actually, I'm actually thinking about getting it. So
yeah,
it looks really neat.
It's so fun. It looks so good, and I think because everything is plastic.
Yeah.
And that bloom lighting and that kind of shit they do. It looks really good on plastic. But it's so fun. It's so fluid. Looks great. Gameplay's fun. The unlock system is just crazy good. There is they got microtransactions kind of, but like you can do season pass and get stuff, and like it's just for more cars and stuff. It's not, and like to create your own tracks and stuff. There's a track creator in there that's pretty robust, and online community stuff. You can do like the car designs and stuff. And share for other people.
That's cool.
Super cool. It's awesome. If it ever gets like a good price for you to get it, it's great.
Well, right now it's I think it's half off. So I think.
Yeah, I got it at launch. Because I was hearing all this crazy stuff about it, and I don't even think it was full price. I think it was like $40 or something.
Yeah, I think it came out at 40. Yeah, I think right now it's like $30. I think it's like 10 off. But you were telling me a little bit about it, and I started looking into it because I had 2 Hot Wheel games on the GameCube. I had the Hot Wheels something Velocity X, and that was a pretty fun one. But the second game in the series was called Hot Wheels. God, I don't remember what it was. World something or other, and it was such a great game, and it had some of the characters from the Hot Wheels cartoon, but it was a really fun kind of sort of high-speed racing game. Yeah, there was. And it was an interesting, I think like a USA Network thing. But it was a really good racing game, kind of the high-speed racing stuff that I like pseudo-future, but not really. But that looked great. That Unleashed is looking good. And actually, it seems like a lot of YouTubers are talking very good about it, so it's kind of one of those, that came out of left field, and it's really good.
It is. Yeah, I don't really even care about Hot Wheels. I don't give a shit. I remember some as a kid,
Yeah.
Like, I know some of the popular ones that are out there. And it's got some cool, like, franchise crossovers and stuff, like Batman and Ninja Turtles and stuff like that.
Yes.
But it's a great game. It's so much fun. Like, it's just
I'll have to look into that one then, for sure.
Tracks. They kind of feel very similar, though, but they're different. They just, I don't know. It's just a great game.
That's good. That's good to hear. That's good because that's one of those one-off kind of weird titles that kind of come out of left field from a middle-tier developer, and you're like, well, they kind of like knocked it out of the park, But it's sadly it's one of those it's one of those games though that's kind of like probably a whole lot of people are like, but everyone, a lot of YouTubers
Milestone
are like,
made it.
Yeah, okay, well, whoever the hell they are, good job, Milestone. way to go. That's your milestone. Here's a story.
They made the Moto games, Ride 4, Moto, MXGP.
Okay.
So I don't know.
So they made a few, yeah. So here's one. In 2021, and I don't know how much you looked into this either. I did a little bit because I thought it was interesting about. They did the lawsuit and stuff, and the Epic Games versus the Apple Store with the Fortnite stuff. That was an interesting story because apparently it was ultimately, I think, ruled where Epic Games broke Apple's store rules on purpose, and they did that in hopes to actually force their hand and go to court, and they were hoping it would make Apple say, okay, we're going to relax our terms of service or whatever. And then it just kind of went through, and the judge almost agreed with Epic that Apple storefront was a monopoly, but it really wasn't. And they ordered Epic to retroactively pay 30% of the money it had earned off the iOS version of Fortnite in the previous 13 months. But after they paid that, Apple is no longer able to enforce direct control over payment processes within iOS apps, which means mobile game developers can now offer discounts and sales straight from the source. It's interesting because it could cost Apple billions in the long run, and it also had the happenstance that people saw a lot of what happens on the business side of the gaming industry. This story, I'm reading a little bit direct quotes from, just to give them credit, finance at yahoo.com. and because it's a source that kind of breaks down some things. So it's interesting that ultimately Epic had to pay Apple, even though after this, Apple can no longer do what they were doing, which was making people go through their storefront. So they were charging people, and the other game developers weren't getting that money. Only Apple was getting that money. So when Epic forced their hand, unfortunately, they kind of lost on this one and have to pay a lot of money out to a few, several $1 million, and which they have, and it's not going to kill them. But like any game company, they don't want to pony up to somebody. They just don't. And even though they'll make all that back probably in 6 months off Fortnite skins, the point is, it's interesting that Epic, on the business side said, you know what, break the rules, and once they get mad, we'll go to court. It's literally that came out in court that they did it on purpose, and that's kind of like, that's so crazy that you got a game company that's like, hey guys, what are we going to do today? Well, we want to break Apple's terms of service because fuck them. Yeah. And it's like, wow, you did it on purpose. It's like you did, that was what your end goal was. We'll go to court and we'll win, but you didn't because you took that gamble. It's an interesting story, and not because of, I don't care that Epic lost. I don't care about Apple because I have an iOS. But the thing is, it's an interesting story to me because, like exactly what it says, it kind of exposed the business side of things, which you don't really get to see a lot because it's so protected. It's so secretive about how money's made, how things are made, how deals are made, how things are developed, because nobody wants to steal from somebody or plagiarize. So games companies have historically we're going to tell you all about our game, but we're going to be incredibly vague about everything else about it. So it's like, because we don't want people to go, oh, we're going to take that idea, because it's a very secretive kind of thing. It's an interesting story I'm bringing up because it doesn't really so much affect me. I mean, I play Fortnite with my fiance and her sister sometimes, but it's not a game that it's like, I feel like playing Fortnite. It just doesn't come up. But but this is an interesting story in the regards of, I still, is like where Epic's like, we've decided to actively break their term of service. Like we purposely did that. And I'm like, that's nuts. That's nuts that these big people were like, we're going to do that because we don't like the fact that we're not making any money off their storefront. They get the money if someone buys a Fortnite skin. Crazily enough, Fortnite has 250 million concurrent players. They don't need the money, but but here's the thing: it's kind of like
they took a stance.
Yeah, they did take a stance.
I love the situation because it's just straight up pirate shit right there. Like, it's two crazy scale companies that neither one are going anywhere. They can spend millions and millions of dollars, and it doesn't matter. So it's purely about just what's right and what's wrong in their eyes, right?
Yeah.
And like they took that loss, but it sounds like they kind of took one for the team, right? Because now things have changed, and it's going to help out smaller developers.
Yes, exactly. And I find
those policy changes.
Yeah,
that's cool.
They both ultimately lost money, which is interesting.
Really, but it's cool though. I mean, Epic is such a. Like I said, I don't play Fortnite. I don't care anything about it. But obviously, everybody else does almost. But Epic though has been around for freaking ever.
Yeah, ever and ever.
And they mean a lot to me in other ways over the years. Just I mean, the Unreal Engine, which is almost everything. Is made on Unreal Engine these days.
Yes.
Really came from Epic.
Yeah, that's true because like almost everything. I mean, we used to make the joke like we're going to put it on our cars, powered by Unreal Engine, and the Unreal Engine. And the funny thing about that is, Epic is absolutely no stranger to court. They've been to court a lot over the years. It's one of those oddball. I don't know why Epic seems to be that target for court, but they are. Between the big fallout between them and Silicon Knights a number of years ago with the whole Unreal Engine and blah, blah, blah. That's an old story, but looking at that's an interesting story. Two Humans, still my favorite game ever. But like you,
earlier, I know. In the Xbox store, by the way, and it just is free.
Like, yeah, it's free. It's free. It's free to play now. You can just have it. It's so crazy. I saw that on 360. I was like, after all these years, they just said it's free to play. I was like, what the hell? But I saw that a while back. But no, Epic has made so much money off Fortnite alone, and not to mention the amount of outside of the Frostbite engine and the Euphoria engine. Unreal literally is like probably 75% of the games out there run on Unreal or something like it.
Unity's pretty popular, but it's for much simpler stuff.
Yeah, it is.
And more entry level stuff. And almost everything. I think because Unreal Engine's so versatile.
Yeah.
For anything, and I don't know, like that new Unreal Engine, the latest version, whatever. It's insane.
Yeah, Unreal Engine.
Do you think people know that it came from Epic, though?
I think, I mean, I don't think a lot of people would know that now. I think some people just think Unreal's its own company, but it's not. Epic developed that game. The very first game they used it on, the very first iteration of it was a game simply called Unreal. And they called the Unreal Engine.
Unreal
and then Unreal Tournament, which is great, because Epic has been teasing the idea of making another Unreal Tournament, which I would love.
They made a free-to-play one not too long ago.
Not too long ago, I think so, but like I think it's...
I'll say that. It's probably been like...
Yeah.
10 years
because I loved the laundry conflict, even though a lot of people didn't like the third-person stuff and the weapons and different things. I was like, but you could set it up. You could play it up. You could play it like like classic Unreal. I actually have on the 360. At the beginning of the year, I was at a game exchange, and they had Unreal Tournament 3, and it was $4. So I was like, sold. Not even a question.
I have a few of those
and I can't play online because those servers are long gone, but like the bots are still there. So it's like, hey, play some Unreal Tournament. This is classic. I love it. And I'm hoping there's a resurgence because, they remastered Quake 1. Doom, especially Doom Eternal. There's a multiplayer. It's like, I would love to see another.
Release, right?
Yeah, it was.
With the Nine Inch Nails soundtrack, by the way.
Yeah, which is crazy that kind of came out of left field. But then I thought, you know what? They remastered Doom 64, Doom 3, Doom 2, Doom 1. It's like they put out the old games. They got Doom 3, they got Doom 64, they got Doom Eternal. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Give me some Golden. But it's neat to see that old games like that finding like a third, fourth life at this point, because it's so weird to to go, here I have a Sony product and I can play Doom 64, I can play Quake, I can play Red Faction 2. Like there's so many weirdly old games from what I grew up on playing. It's like, that's crazy. So, but I'd love to see that. But yeah, that whole Epic and Apple thing is interesting because ultimately Epic lost money, not to mention whatever court fees they had to pay, court costs, lawyers and shit, right? And Apple gets that money, but to turn around and can't use their storefront that way, they'll just lose it. So they both lost. It's like the case, like somebody won, but they kind of both lost financially in the end. And I just thought that was an interesting story because of the whole, you got to see like the background of things, and that's just neat. I mean,
and Epic lost money, but they still bought Harmonix, by the way.
Yeah, they did.
Did you see that?
Yeah, I did see that. So that's again, like they have so much money thanks to the engine that they have been licensing out for 20, 30 years. 30 years probably, back in the early mid 90s, and then they made so much money off Fortnite. It's funny how the Battle Royale and skin stuff was supposed to be there to help them create and develop the actual game. A lot of people don't realize Fortnite has saved the world. That's where it's a horde type mode. You build stuff, you build your stuff up, you gain levels, you do all that stuff, you get weapons. That's the actual game. Battle Royale was a secondary feature of the game that just blew up because Save the World cost money to play, and they were just trying to make money to help fix. And it's so funny that took over everything. and has its player base. Now, granted, its player base is largely kids, but it's got a huge player base, and so they make so much money off that game. It's like they may have lost money in this court case, but if you ask me, the only thing damaged was their pride. So it's not really going to matter to them in the end. I just thought it's a story I just kind of wanted to bring up in 2021 because there was a lot of that going on and whatnot that had happened in 2021. This is one of those stories that just kind of came out of the gaming side of things that, hey, this is what's happening, and not too many people covered it, but it was generally covered by a few people. I think, again, Yang Yao was he was one of the people that kind of covered the story, but he kind of covers like absolutely everything that goes on, and not everything,
I love seeing stories like that, though, because you get some of these companies that are so large and like seemingly immovable, right? Like Apple can kind of do whatever they want.
Yeah.
And like Epic can kind of do whatever they want. Yeah. So then when you get those like monumental companies leveraged against each other, it's like, oh, okay, this is interesting because they actually got the power to make them change a policy or something, Yeah. So it's cool to see, I think, those things happen.
Yeah. Well, here's another story that doesn't surprise me, but at the same time makes me sad because it's a game series that another game series that you and Troy and other people talked me into getting. Battlefield 2042 just failed miserably, and people are getting refunds on it, and I hate to always talk about negative stuff with the gaming industry, but this game, it blows my mind when I was like, oh, they're going modern again, and I was kind of excited for it. Not that I thought I had Battlefield 5 and Revolution. I like both of those games, and I've played 5, here and there. I know that game had controversy and BS, but this game comes out, and besides it being incredibly broken and buggy and everything else, but like DICE removed the classes out of the game, they removed the scoreboard out of the game, all these classic things that's been in Battlefield forever, and then they're trying to fix stuff they've had, and they'll fix something and then something else breaks, and it's like, when I saw stuff on it, I was like, why would they remove the classes? What? Why would they, and did a lot of questionable choices for this. And I know they're hooked up with EA. I know they've been working on 42 since after 5 came out, about a little less than a year later, so they have been working on it for a while. EA could have been like, hey, get it out there. But DICE, for whatever reason, made a lot of changes to the game in general. Like I said, especially omitting the classes, not having a scoreboard. You don't know what your kill death is, which brings the whole competitive thing to a crash, screeching halt, but because you don't know. And the fact that they had all the other issues with the game. And I know each Battlefield since, I feel like the last several years, they're coming out every year and a half, every 2 years, whatever, but it's still like, maybe from your point of view, like, are they just getting worse every time they bring one out? Because they're not even really competing with COD anymore, which they never needed to. They're so different games. But it's so weird because they even took out, like,
well, they kind of still and I think that's the problem.
Yeah.
Because it was never meant to be Call of Duty. That's why it existed.
Yeah,
It was more about team play. It was more about just kind of the realistic, slow, large-scale battles, not Twitch shooter like Call of Duty.
Yeah,
but over time, they've just gotten more and more like that. Now, the classes are kind of still there, though. I don't know a whole lot about the game. Like, I have it, but that's how much I like it. I've like loaded up once or twice, and just go play Hot Wheels or something instead.
Yeah.
They, and yet another copy of Call of Duty, in my opinion, is they have specialists.
Yeah.
And then each specialist kind of operate in the form of a class. So it's still kind of there, but you got to pick a different specialist to use them. But then the specialists are from Call of Duty.
Yeah, that's a very COD thing because the specialists, yeah.
I don't know, man. I mean, like the series is going downhill.
Yeah.
They've done some cool stuff with this one. I love the portal thing. And that's really when I played it. That's the only part I played is the portal.
Well, you and pretty much the community. But interestingly enough, not too long after its launch, they lost like 70% of its player base, which is that's unheard of in that game. Like that doesn't happen. And most people playing Call of Duty right now are playing like the free-to-play Vanguard Warzone thing, and it's kind of like it's so weird because when I look back at like Battlefield 4, yeah, there was always patches and stuff, but I just feel like the last and again I don't want to blame EA necessarily or DICE because I feel like they're both involved because they are. It's kind of like why are these games consistently kind of going like me? Because even COD with its large player base does not have the same player base it had 15 years ago. It just doesn't, and it's another one of those games that kind of came out and I was like, it's modern again. Oh, that's great because I'm kind of tired of World War stuff, right? And then COD went World War again, and it's like, okay, everybody, and then it's modern.
That's the thing. I think it's bad choices, right? Like, because the Modern Warfare when that came out, it was awesome. I love that one.
Yeah.
But then now, like Vanguard, I don't give a shit about that.
It went back to World War II, right?
I'm sick of that era. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I'm done. Yeah.
Battlefield, I'm bummed out because there's not a campaign.
Yeah, they took that, which is bizarre.
I would like a modern campaign. Like COD has one, but it's World War. I don't want that. I'd like to play a new modern campaign on that level because it looks great still. The gameplay is still cool. It's just like shitty choices across the board from both games.
You're right. You're right.
If I had to pick, I mean, I would say COD's probably still more solid because at least they got their formula and even though it's World War, like it's still solid gameplay. Like they're still doing. It's got a campaign. I don't think it's. I heard it's really good too, actually.
Yeah. Well, the thing is it's a shame because it's two game series now that. Okay, so I bought Revolution, Battlefield 1, and I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the campaign and the stories. Battlefield 5 I bought because it was cheap, and I wanted to check it out, and I played some multiplayer in that, and I liked oh cool, I can build up walls around and make a little fort and do this. The multiplayer was fun. I still was terrible at it, but I still had fun with it, even though I thought, well, yeah, okay, so they're doing this, women with prosthetics, and they are kind of like taking their spin on history, and it's not exactly accurate, but who really gives a shit? Fuck it, it's Battlefield, and it was still fun. You could destroy stuff and all that stuff. So this one came out, and I was kind of like, oh shit, they're going on, this would be great, and I thought about getting it, but I bought 5 for like $20 on sale. Like I got like the deluxe, but I felt like I was kind of burned on. I paid full price for Black Ops 4, and I was like, did not like it at all, and I felt like I can't believe I even bought this. That year was terrible because the same year the Fallout 76 came out, and I got kind of fucked on that. Even though the game's better now, it's just the point is, the thing is like now, looking more into the Battlefield, the new one, and then looking at the new COD, I was like, you know what? I don't want either one of them. I just don't. I'm like, I have no interest or desire to play any one of those games. I mean, even though I like multiplayer, I was like, if I want to just go kick some ass in multiplayer, I'll just play Titanfall 2. I mean, that's my jam. So I was like, who cares? Yeah. Because I'm just like, I don't want to pay the money. I don't want to pay $60 for a game. And it's just generally, I know so many games now come out and they're not finished, and they got to patch them and patch them and patch them and add all this, and I get that. That's just a happenstance of the publisher saying you got to put it out at this date. Well, we need more time. You don't get no more time, right? So, so I think,
and, and I don't mean to say it in any kind of, I don't mean it in any way, any negative way, I guess. But the money part, I don't care about.
Yeah.
Right? And partially because, I get a ton of Amazon credit every month.
Yeah.
For business purchases and stuff. And that's what I use it for, is just to get games a lot or movies or whatever. So half the stuff doesn't come out of my pocket. So I don't really get, that's how I got Battlefield.
Yeah.
So I technically got it for free.
Yeah.
But I don't give a shit about it. I got it because it was modern, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I guess. And then I was seeing the Portal stuff, and they got Bad Company 2 maps, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And those do look awesome. But I tell you what, though, I loaded it up, and I wasn't even worried about shooting people. I was looking at grass blowing, and I was like, oh, this looks really good.
Yeah, it does look. Frostbite's
I'm gonna go
awesome.
play something I want to play now.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty. Yeah.
So I'm not really motivated by the money part of is it going to be worth and stuff like that. That's really my reason for saying that. It's just I have zero interest in it. I don't.
Yeah, some of it too is I know. I think you probably have a little bit of this. I have a little bit of this back when we were man, it'd be 6 or 7 of us playing Battlefield 3 or 4. All of us have some anger being thrown out there from everybody or whatever, frustration because it's multiplayer, it's whatever. But the point is I was I can't wax nostalgia on it because I just feel like the consistency with both Activision and Sledgehammer and the COD side of things and DICE and EA and the Battlefield side of things, I was like, I just don't care. I was because I feel like they consistently have made just some dumbass changes and choices and letting me down. It's I'm not doing it. I can't get burnt. It's unfortunate that there isn't a third or fourth companies out there doing. I mean, there are other obviously multiplayer games, but at the same time, it's COD and Battlefield.
Yeah, if you want a blockbuster shooter or whatever, that's your choices.
Yeah, and they're not necessarily the best choice. So I kind of avoid them. I'm only bringing it up for 2021 because it's Battlefield and Call of Duty have fundamentally just have different philosophies in their design, and it's you've got this free-to-play version of it. You've got this Vanguard. Hey, we're going back to World War II. And why? Because Battlefield went World War II the year before with Battlefield 5, but now they went back modern, and it's what are you? And then, hey, we're going to do specialists like COD, and COD's we're going to do really big maps with. It's what are y'all doing?
The competitive multiplayer stuff anymore, it's really mostly driven by Fortnite and stuff.
Yeah.
It's almost not just straight shooters anymore.
You're right.
Now, I will say though, I've never been able to really get into it, but a lot of people are playing Doom multiplayer still, and I've been hearing a ton of great stuff about the Halo Infinite multiplayer. But I've only been playing the campaign, so I don't know. I probably will stick around and give it a try because
might as well.
It was fun back in the day.
Yeah.
So I mean that is a pretty fair alternative, I guess, but it just feels different. I want to. It's a sci-fi shooter, right? I mean, and not to down it, it could be super fun and satisfy that because I loved that back in the day.
Yeah.
But just when you talk real world shooters and stuff, the options seem so limited though.
It's interesting because this coming up year we got some sequels to some games coming out. We've got Shadow Warrior 3, which those two shooters are great. Shadow Warrior 2 in particular is the first one's good. The second one is fantastic. It's got a lot of loot, lots of guns, loadouts. It's a fantastic game. They're doing a third one, which I can't believe they're doing a third one, but they're doing a third one. Devolver made it. They're a great company. And we've got Elix 2 coming out from Deep Silver, which is bizarre because the first game didn't really actually sell great. And it took a lot of patches to fix a lot about it. Even it's better now, but again, it's weird to see that come out of left field. I'm where the hell are these games coming from? Because that really Elix came out 5 years ago. But we've got a lot of
left
shooters.
Field, real quick, Shadow Man Remastered. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that. Which is I used to play that on the N64. It's a game I really liked. They also remastered Blood Rain 1 and 2, which is what? And those are $20 a piece, and I'm going it's so weird again, going back to thinking Blood Rain was one of my favorite games on the GameCube. Yeah, and I had the second one on Xbox, and it's like, it's weird to go. If someone would have said, "Hey, you'll be able to play these years later on this other system," I'd be like, "You're full of shit." But there's so much of that going on, where we're getting a lot of
Like I could even get Blood Rain a little more. Like that seems a little more fitting because they've done kind of some Blood Rain stuff through the years.
Yeah.
But, like, who knows about Shadowlands? Like,
yeah.
I mean, I remember back in the day and loving it, and I thought it was.
I remember it mainly because the way it opened, and it's playing Mozart's Moonlight Sonata, the first movement, the piano part, and you hear a guy talking about Catherine Eddowes and people, and it's Jack the Ripper talking, and I remember that because it was such a oh shit right moment. You know what? If they got Shadow Man coming out, they did the Turoks again. Hey, just throw some nightmare creatures out there, and yeah. I mean, I would be like,
Nightmare creatures was cool.
Yeah, and that was a good one. And that's just again, like I said, going back to Battlefield, that's just another one of those stories that the game comes out, and it's just they lost this huge chunk of their player base. They probably won't get them back. It's kind of like the whole Marvel Avengers thing, another game that I both liked and was disappointed in 2021. It was a game I looked forward.
Sure.
The campaign was fantastic. It was the end game and everything else. Now, granted, I still play it. I played it when Hawkeye came aboard, and I played it with the second Hawkeye, two Hawkeyes, Kate Bishop, and I enjoyed actually her campaign. But Spider-Man came out, and I was wondering how I was going to feel about him being in the game, and they didn't give him a story. Like, no, he has missions, and they do these weird comic book cutscenes, but they didn't give him an actual like campaign like they did Black Panther, which, man, the Wakanda campaign is fantastic. It's so good. Like the Hawkeye one was cool. Kate Bishop's was actually fun, even though both characters are a little OP. Black Panther is awesome.
That's probably what happened, because I don't think that was planned.
Yeah.
Maybe it was, but because it was right around when
Chad Boswood
died.
Yeah. Tragic.
And then all of a sudden they announced it. So sad. And by the way, we just watched a movie with that 21 Bridges, like just yesterday. Great movie. Nothing related to games, but it's awesome.
Yeah.
Anyway, but they announced that. I almost wonder if like Spider-Man didn't suffer because they wanted to do that instead.
It's possible that and Spider-Man comes out, and he interacts with the Avengers. They do these comic book kind of cut scenes.
It's
playing
more
as
to do
him.
with it being a console exclusive.
Yeah, and playing as him is actually a lot of fun. He does do the web slinging. It's not Spider-Man 2018's web slinging. Obviously, it's not that at all. It's almost like an old school Spider-Man web slinging where he's kind of just attaching to whatever, nothing.
Yeah.
But it's really fun to play as him. There's a lot of neat different skins that are available. Some of them are suits from, over the years, and some of them are just things that from wherever or however or whatever. But he's a lot of fun to play. The voice acting is great, and I have been playing the game. I still play it because it's just my love for Marvel superheroes. And even though they have, they put in those, hey, we would never put in experience boosters, and then they put them in, then they took them out, and there's been some controversy. My big favorite thing they did to the game was they changed the UI, and so the interface for when you look at your character and stuff you can do with it is much more streamlined. It's more interesting and dynamic. And another thing they're doing apparently this year is, if the game is still live and going, hopefully, they're patching in to where they're going to start adding some loot and some things that will change your character's appearance. So we'll see, right? So, but Marvel Avengers is, again, 2021. Again, it's so weird how many games came out that I bought, liked, but was disappointed in. Like in ultimately long term, right?
What about Guardians?
Guardians of the Galaxy I did not play, but that kind of weirdly enough came out of left field and was unexpected, and some people thought it'd be like Avengers. I didn't play it, but everybody loves that game. Everybody thought it was great. It's the one I want to get because it seems like everyone was like this is really good. I didn't expect this after the Marvel Avengers stuff, so it's another one of those games I'd like to play. I'd like to check it out.
And I was like, it's probably some cash in, like, way of just putting those characters in with that engine and just whatever. And,
yeah.
But then everybody started talking great about it, and I hadn't played it yet, but I did get it on like a Black Friday deal.
Okay.
Like $25 or something.
Well, that's good. Yeah, that's good. That's good to know. Yeah. And yeah, let me know. That'd be great to know because I've been kind of looking into that. Like I said, that like between Cyberpunk, Marvel's Avengers, it's like it's a shame that so many games. There's so much about them that I liked, but was ultimately had some disappointments in. Avengers is great now to load the screen up and see your whole title screen filled with characters, and they're still planning on putting Doctor Strange in and Captain Marvel in, and if all goes according to plan, even though it does have virtually no player base now, and I just mainly play solo anyway, but it's still grindy and it's still all the things that it is, but I will admit it was cool though, to the way they did the campaign stuff, the Hawkeye campaign, the Black Panther campaign in particular, even the Kate Bishop stuff, which I did a video about having 2 damn Hawkeyes for the love of God, but it was like, it really was good, and Hawkeye's in the future, and he's got to deal with the Maestro, which is the Hulk from the future, and it's just really, really cool. The campaign stuff that they do in that game is on point. It's so good. So it's nice to see that. Black Panther's story missions also introduced some puzzle elements where you have to do certain things and just kind of changed it up a little bit. They also did a lot of the moves in his combos that are from the movies, because they did the same thing with the other characters. And if you're a nerd like me and notice stuff, you're like, oh, that's so cool. It's kind of like when the first little triple kick that he gives Captain America at the airport, Black Panther, that's in the game. Yeah. So it's like all this neat little ways that he fights, they really borrowed from that. So it's really cool that they did add Spidey, and being exclusive is kind of like shit. I wish everybody could play as him because he is a lot of fun to play as. But if you own both systems, you're good to go. But I feel, again, like I said, it's like Cyberpunk. It was like, this is really cool. The campaign's cool. There's things to do that's really neat, and I'm enjoying it. But then I was like, but I'm also kind of disappointed in it because, man, they should have done this or they should have done that. It's nice to see it. It's been, even though it doesn't have a big player base anymore, it's nice to see they keep patching it and keep patching it and keep improving on it. And you know what? Yeah, so I'm okay with that. I'm okay with them continuously patching it. I know it's like almost 1, and we've gone kind of long, and it's almost 2 hours. There are a lot of other little... Yeah, no, exactly. There's been a lot of other different kind of stories out there, and 2021, a lot happened in gaming in general. I wanted to do this video because I felt like, let's touch base on some stories that I followed, and I didn't follow all of them, because you just can't. Too much was going on. I know there's been the whole NFT thing lately with the whole NFTs, and hey, you can pay for this stuff. You can get money. Yeah, and that's kind of like, I don't.
Ruin everything.
Yeah, it's like, everything's messed up because, I can sell you these NFTs and it's for this, but it's not really anything you really own, and it's like that whole thing is. Yeah, let's get into that.
So this is coming to the game industry now, whether you like it or not.
Yes.
Because GameStop's getting in it, Konami's in it, all this stuff. Now, where it's currently sitting at right now is, like for instance, Konami. You can go to their website and they have music and they have images, and they're auctioning these, and this one image of like one of the levels right now is its current bid is like $26,000.
Okay. Now, that's a lot of money.
I can right-click and save as, and I have this thing too.
Yeah.
Right, but like,
yeah.
You know, it's this whole kind of faux, like, this is one unique, you know, trackable kind of your one version of this real image or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, whatever. So there's that game they're playing, which is this silly kind of, in my opinion, waste of money shit. Where it's going to head though is it's whether we like it or not, it's going to make it to Fortnite, Call of Duty.
Yes.
Skins.
You're right.
So now, because it's already this whole, like, I hear it all the time with my son, like, oh, I got this super rare Roblox skin or whatever.
Yeah.
Or this Call of Duty gun skin that you gotta go through all this stuff. But what happens when we introduce the system to where here's this one Call of Duty skin that only you have?
Yeah. You're right.
Nobody else can have it. Now, you can resell it if you want.
Yeah.
Or whatever. But, like, that's gonna suck.
It's gonna be.
It's an optional thing, I'm sure, because it's gonna have to be cosmetic when you're talking.
Yeah, it has to be.
Like
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's still this dangerous, like, money. Like, if people think microtransactions now suck.
It's really gonna be bad. Yeah, because the loot box thing and the gambling issue that's been going on the last couple of years. I know me and you personally discussed it, but it's kind of like, you know, there is some validity to all of that. But so many people were like, well, fuck that. And Belgium was like, you ain't putting that shit in the games. And then EA's like, fuck. And then the loot box thing is really starting to backslide. You're not seeing them anymore. I haven't bought a game any recent memory that had loot boxes in them. But now they've got other things. You know, they were going back to season passes. We're getting stuff. A battle pass is a big deal. But the NFT, yeah. But the
it's all in-game.
Yeah, like, but the NFT thing now. Here's the interesting thing about NFTs, and people probably don't know. It's non-fungible tokens is what it stands for, and again, I'm going to give the Google.com, Yahoo, the Google Finance. This is where it came from, and I'm going to read this, and this is from their website to give them credit. The initial idea behind NFTs, according to one of its co-creators, Neil Dash, was to let artists on the internet have some more control over the work. Anyone who's ever had an image go viral also has to deal with a couple 100,000 would-be art thieves who'll monetize other people's art to infinity without giving the creator a dime. In theory, the NFT blockchain could help solve that problem. Then they say, fast forward 7 years, and has not done that at all. What it's done, it seems, is make a few people a lot of money. CNBC reported in October that NFT trading volume hit 10 billion. Cryptocurrency enthusiasts were apparently willing to trade small fortunes to be able to claim they own a procedurally generated blockchain-enabled image of, say, a really stupid-looking ape. And that's an interesting thing because the way, and fraud apparently is incredibly rampant in it, because you're using cryptocurrency to buy this NFT stuff. And yeah, it is. And then it talks about how, let's say you use cryptocurrency and you bought a digital baseball card. And even though you own them, you don't own them in the classical sense because you don't own them because it's digital, right? So the fact that gaming companies are trying to get into this whole non-fungible tokens where you use cryptocurrency to buy it, and like you said, it's kind of like, okay, well, I got this really awesome, skin for my COD weapon that I paid, let's say, $400 in cryptocurrency, or let's just say it's $50 in crypto. Let's use a small number. Well, I have it. It's mine, and you can never have it unless I sell it back to you or put it back up there. And I still feel I'm like you. It's a slippery slope. It's a microtransaction where it's all it's digital. Yeah, it's all digital, and you're gonna have people out there, where you'll start seeing like, You know, it's like COD themselves. We want $5 to make your reticle red. It's stupid. It's the dumbest thing for a color, for a reticle. But it's like this whole NFT thing is like, why? Like, you know, that means I have to go buy cryptocurrency. They're going to have some kind of like, a game's going to come out and do it, whether it's PC or console first. They're going to have some kind of like storefront on the in game that says like, you know, purchase NFTs and get this, and then you have it. But see, then you get into that whole, well, what if the game like comes out and 5 years from now they shut the servers down?
Right.
Then you don't have it. You don't have anything. So there's that whole game preservation thing.
Coming, though. I feel like it's coming. And at least maybe not even from the exact technical standpoint it's coming, but I feel like a version is going to be coming to where, you know, you can use your, you know, your PlayStation funds or whatever. To do whatever, your Xbox.
No, I agree.
To get
I agree.
This one unique thing. Like, they're going to implement it somehow.
Yeah, they're going to figure out a way to do it. Yeah.
You know, and ideally, the technology, even though it's really kind of, I don't know, it's really technical, and there's a little bit of magic in there. Like, you know, really
absolutely.
How it works. Like
I know, I agree. Yeah,
like
yeah.
But it is really cool idea from the standpoint of, you know, like, we are in a digital age, right? And,
yes.
I'm not somebody who can draw, but I can do digital art.
Yeah.
So, you know, to have a path for that, to where it can have a sense of uniqueness that's not just easily copied, you know, even though you can still copy it and take a screenshot. And that's the silly part, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can't monetize that, remonetize that, so it kind of stops and helps that. But, like, no matter what you do, if you really want that, like, you can just have a copy for yourself for free still.
Yeah.
If it's viewable, it's stealable, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Same way with any form of digital media out there.
Yeah.
You know, a digital movie, if you can watch it, you can copy it.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't care. Doesn't matter what kind of protection you put on there. You can circumvent them all.
Mm-hmm.
Music's the same way. Like, MP3s, you know, they kill the music industry in a sense.
Yes.
Now, I like kind of where we're at now, from a consumer standpoint.
Yes.
It changed the game, you know. So it's cool in that sense. I wonder like how. I wonder if they would try to implement it in a training or.
Well,
good.
You know, the idea of the gambling thing has really made a big impact among the industry, and it was so rampant. It still kind of is in a way, but to have a lot of people now saying, okay, because like I said, there hasn't been not much in any since released, so they're like, well, we got to make up the money somehow, so now we'll do the battle pass. A lot of games are doing battle passes because it's like $10. Yeah, you can pay $10. I know Fortnite, you can pay $10, but you can earn enough V-Bucks throughout that battle pass life, as long as you're playing, to buy it again. With V-Bucks, you only pay for it once. I have a friend that's played it past 4 or 5 years that I worked with at Walmart, and he has only ever bought it once. But he also was like, but then I got to put a lot of time in it. So, but at the same time, this NFT stuff and everything, it's kind of like the big issue that you run into. It's like, you know, it's not enough that some of these companies are making vast sums of money. It's the fact that they want to make all the money, and it's like
wagon we can jump on.
Yeah, exactly. You know? And I feel like that, irregardless of the intent is always going to be egregious in my eyes. It's already bad enough when I have discussed in prior videos why I dislike the whole point of going like, okay, well, you need to grind. Okay, you need to get to this level. You need to do this. We're going to put this booster in, or we're going to do this or whatever, because we arbitrarily made the grind so long and arduous and tedious that you want to get that. Yeah. Interesting story. This goes into microtransactions. Since we're talking NFTs, we're talking microtransactions. And Ubisoft, you know, I'm not saying that the people who run the company are dumb or stupid or don't think things clearly, but in this case they did. When Valhalla came out, AC Valhalla, and it's, you know, you can get up to level 350, which is insane. This RPG Assassin's Creed now, which is what they've been doing. One of the things they did that people were like, you put these XP boosters in there because you knew the arbitrary grind was shit, and if you wanted to get to the end game without having to play it for 400 hours, we'll give you this XP booster that you turn on or you can turn off, which is interesting that you can turn it off. But you get this booster, but people were gaining levels so fast that by the time that they would, let's say, get through one story mission into the next, at some point, just a few hours in, people were 30 and 40 levels higher than the recommended power level, right? So people were just one-shot and everything, and it was so fucking easy. This was on the hardest difficulty. So Ubisoft, in their, again, silliness, said, well, we're going to put in a patch, and that's going to level scale everybody up to you, which is like, and that you can turn on the level scaling. So if you're level 40, they're level 40. If you're 41, and so on and so forth. So that that totally nullified your XP bonus, your XP thing. Completely nullified it, so that they wouldn't be so easy. So it's like, so you made an XP booster to make the game easier, but then you put in the level thing for the AI
to remove it,
to basically get rid of the XP booster. So it's like, what the hell was that about? And that's again one of those.
Well, then, but I guess, well, it scales it, so I guess you wouldn't have to leave it on, right? Like,
no, but the point is like you effectively like nullified the whole thing about your XP. But that's again another one of those microtransactions, business decisions where you're like, with the NFTs coming, it's kind of like they're going to find a way to make it as greedy and as egregious as possible. They're not going to sit around and go like, well, what's fair? They're going to say, how can we make the money off of it? Because they've done that with everything else.
Cases, in both of those cases too, it's the people that are doing it that ruin it, though, right?
Yes, you're right.
In that case, it's this whole thing that gets on my nerves about everybody. Like, they want the end game right away. Like, how about you enjoy the game, and then the end game's for when all that's done, and you enjoy the end game.
Yeah.
Not like, oh, let's get to the end game, and that's
well, you know, and that's the thing, because AC Valhalla, you know, if you play through the story straight through and do no side content, it's 70 hours. It's kind of like up there with Red Dead, with a map that's like insane. Yeah.
And then if you're not sick of it, then you enjoy the end game.
Yeah, end game. But no, they want to get right to that little island that's in the corner that says you have to be 340 to get to play it. So they're like, well, I got to get there, you know. And it's like, so everybody's in a rush. And again, you know, I've also been talking about, like, when I was talking about Far Cry 6, and I was talking about how, like, hey, go to this island part of this map first and do the missions here. But if I want to do anything else, it's kind of like, now I got to travel fucking 20 minutes in one direction, right? And I feel like sometimes these game companies, you know, they don't appreciate my time, right? But they want you to play their game and only their game. But the microtransaction stuff that's rampant in video games now, you're right. The NFTs, it'll probably get worse because they got to figure out a way. Because, like I said, they're not going to do it in a way that's like, oh, this is not bad. No, they're going to do it in a way to, like, give us our fucking money.
Fucking terrible.
Yeah.
And you know, where the people's going to play into this is the thing I'm seeing across the board now, and it's not really necessarily with games, but just kind of anything anymore. Is everybody has this need to buy everything and then try to resell it and make money.
You're right.
And so there's that's going on, and then, like, you can't really go to thrift stores anymore and get shit because everybody wants to sell everything as high as it can possibly be. Like,
no, this is true.
You know, everybody wants to know what they have. Everybody, I don't know. You know, we're all playing this, like, greedy, let's make money game. Let's be an entrepreneur by selling shit.
Yeah.
So anything that comes out, like, it's so stupid. Like, I'm used to some of that with some things, right?
Yeah.
But, like, this past Halloween, Jacqueline wanted this purse with skulls on it, and it was like coming out at like those home goods stores, home goods and whatever.
Yeah.
But you couldn't find them anywhere. Scalpers were buying them up and listing them online for like $200 and shit.
Of course.
It was like a purse. Like we did ultimately find one, but like we had to hunt for it.
Yeah.
And people showing up like at the store open just to buy them all up and list them for sale.
I mean,
and it's like that across the board. And I think when you get into, if that starts happening in video games to where you can buy skin, I feel like scalpers are gonna start attacking that.
Yeah, they're gonna find a way.
Buy them all up and then resell them.
They're gonna find a way to do that and make and try to buy them for at least as possible, and then they're gonna try to like max it out. And when they do that, it wouldn't surprise me if some story don't come out where scalper XYZ scalper guy, he was actually working for EA, or he was actually, and it's kind of like, well, that's kind of fucked up. But that's the thing. It's like one thing kind of shut down, which was a loot box, even though some of those games like Overwatch and stuff, that's still an integral part of it, its economy, but it's like when now that is pretty much, you don't hear about anybody doing that shit no more, right? I mean, even NBA 2K, 22, whatever, had those weird casino, I'm going to do the slot machine, I'm going to do the... And it was very gambling. Yeah. But you could barely win anything worth a damn.
They enhance that grind like crazy, too.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, that whole point is like, and then it comes out, well, you got a 0.001% chance of getting anything good, so you got to spend it 1 million times, because that's money. So it's just, but the fact that some of that stuff was controversial with the gambling and the kids and the blah. Now with the NFT thing, they're like, well, we'll just come up with another thing that people don't understand and don't get, and we will present it as something that's like a good thing. It's not this or that. When ultimately, the smart people, the people who are smart fans will be like, yeah, fuck you, because we know better. Other people won't.
The thing is, I don't think anybody really wants it.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think anybody wants NFTs. Like,
no.
I mean, people are buying them, but I think it's
not care.
People who are getting them for like any good reason. Like, I think it's just.
And
a ton of money, or just trying to make money or something.
It's one thing for me. I mean, yes, I have 600 digital titles. It's one thing for me to buy a game on sale. It's digital. I know I ultimately do not possess it, right?
Yeah.
But as long as it's available, and I'm okay with that because I don't buy a whole lot at max price. Here's the thing though about that. Me buying a physical copy for $60, right? It's like, okay, well now that's mine. I own it. I could always resell it. I can't resell it and get my money back, right? GameStop's going to lowball me, and even if I sell it to a friend, hey, I'm not going to fuck a friend over. Hey, give me $70 for it because I need to make my money on it. It's more like, well, if I don't want it, do you want it for $20? Give me $25. It's just, well, that's better than buying it new. But that's the point. Like, even the resale value of something along that lines. And the NFT thing is more like, hey, this is a rare thing, so we want all this money for it because it's rare.
And there's ways
like, oh my
God.
God.
They could implement something like that would be cool for people. Like,
yeah,
they could do a type of thing to where when you buy a digital title, you could resell it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It wouldn't necessarily be you'd be the only one with that game, obviously, but like
you
could essentially resell your license or something. But then you're cutting into their profits.
This is true.
That's why they're pumping the digital age even more now, harder.
Yes.
Because, like the used copies at GameStop, they don't make money off of.
No, they don't make any money, and it's kind of like in GameStop's, in my opinion, on its last legs anyway. I don't care about what happened last year with that weird stock thing that happened, and it made their stock go way up, and people bought it and put them. They didn't run out. I still think they're not going to last the next 5 years. I've been saying it for a little while, but that whole thing with the microtransaction NFT thing in particular being relatively new thing. It's like, well, you know what? They lost one avenue of revenue thanks to the controversy of their loot box crap, right? That's been going on for a while, and then finally game companies are like, yeah, we're probably not going to do that anymore, but let's come up, we got to have something else. And again, it all goes back, so I feel it all goes back to that whole thing, those NFTs. It's that we just don't want some of the money, we want all of it. And it's like, you can't have all of it, but we want all of it. And it's that whole, it's kind of like going back to saying, you know, hey, those MUT cards, well, great, Madden's a $60 game, it should be free to play. Well, why should Madden be free to play? Because they fucking make $500 million every year on the MUT cards. They don't need the money, but they have to have that $60 price tag. But of course, what happens? Last year, they find in the Madden games, they found old signs in the stadiums, and they're just rehashing shit, and they're still not even giving us, like, they're giving, oh, here's all these faces of these characters, and Angry Joe pointed out there's two of the same face, and like, it's like they are so lazy with it, and you don't have a whole lot of choice.
Games kind of take a good route though, like, because, you know, Halo Infinite multiplayer is free to play.
Yes.
Call of Duty Warzone
is free to play.
Fortnite's free to play.
Yes.
You know, and they're making killing off of those stuff. So
yes.
They can be done for sure.
Yes. But I think that, like you said, it all goes back to that NFT stuff, non-fungible tokens. This all is all about another way to make money. They're still trying to figure out how it's going to be implemented in our games. I'm sure there's people at those companies, your Ubisoft, your Activision, EAs of the world, with these think tanks. How can we do this? How can we present it in a way that seems like it's a good thing, but we know better? It's we're here to fuck you, and that's what they're going to try to do.
And it's going to be a while because
it is. Yeah, right? Yeah.
Like, the framework has to be in there to support it. You know, they might have patched something to do it. You know, Fortnite is a likely candidate that we're going to see it. Call of Duty is a likely candidate. Like, those are kind of rampant for people wanting skins because they're so heavily played anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think it'll be a little bit still. Yeah. But I think it's a matter of time before we see some version of it for sure.
Yeah, I feel like
and that's what, you know, it's so refreshing to see something like Hot Wheels Unleashed come out, because like I said, it's got kind of these loot box things in there in a way. But it's purely in-game money. Mm-hmm. You can't buy them in real money, and it's like the whole title is self-contained. Like, if you buy anything, you're buying microtransactions of like added cars.
Yeah.
But well, like, you know, anything that shit, like, it's all unlockable. It's got this little, you know, you grind and you get your coins and you buy these boxes and you open them and there's a random car in there.
That's cool.
You can't buy that with real money.
See, that's good, and that's one of those things where that's a smart way to implement it. It's kind of like the week I did the Alternative Sports Week, and I played Handball 21, and I said, they have card packs. I can't buy them with real money. I actually earn them with in-game currency. I open up the pack, I get different players, different rarities, but I have to do that in-game, and they ain't asking for, like, money, so it seems to me, and I know that's a smaller company, obviously, but it's a Big Ben International or whatever, but they again, like with your Hot Wheels game, it's the same thing. It's like they could have gone one route, but chose not to. They focused more on, I guess, the gameplay and the graphics and the things they wanted to make the racing game fun. They didn't want to make some ridiculous grind for some car that you had to pay money or bet. You know, the thing is, it just, like I said, I started following this NFT story a little bit and was reading different things about it, and then I said, oh, here we fucking go with some other bullshit microtransaction that's going to be in our games at some point. It might be a couple years, but they're going to be there, and I'm at the point where I'm like, you know, I'm not going to spend a dime on any of that shit. I barely spend any money as it is. Like, when games do have microtransactions, I don't buy anything. Like, even Marvel Avengers, when they did the XP boosts, and I was like, well, they said they were going to put those in there, but now they're in there. And then 2 weeks later, they were gone. I was like, yeah, I ain't buying that. And then I realized, not realizing at the time, that they actually had non-buyable XP boosts that, like, it might last like 2 hours, that I had earned in game that were already there to begin with. They were just in some of the chests you could find and things, like little items. And I said, then why the hell did they make, ones that were buyable, but the buyable ones you got more XP? So it was like, oh, okay. So they're just trying to, like, again, let's force people's hands. And I think, like I said, it's another one of those stories from the business side of things, but because they haven't quite figured out yet how they can implement that in our games, just a matter of time. But like you said, it's just a matter of time. So it's crazy. It's crazy that it happened, but it's happened. So I think it's interesting that they that it's just another one of those stories. It's kind of like, if they can't have one thing, they'll come up with another way to make money, and it's just it might take a little while, but it's coming. Like you said, it's definitely coming. But like I said, this has been great, man. Like I said, being able to talk about the 2021 year. We're heading into 2022. We're a few weeks in. I really hope this year in gaming doesn't have any more insane controversy, which, that's probably not going to happen. But there's been, I think the pandemic is still affecting things. So I am happy that the pandemic did not affect my company, Omega Force. And on February 15th, Dynasty Warrior 9 Empires comes out, which also features the creative player from Neo 2, which has an outstanding creative player. So I didn't realize Neo 2 was an Omega Force joint effort with Team Ninja. So I was like, that's great. And they weren't so much affected by that. And me, I love Dynasty Warriors. I fucking loved that series. So I saw that finally populate on the game store. I was expecting it at some point this year, but not so soon. So that's be the next one, and I'm definitely going to do videos on Empires 9. So that'll probably be the next purchase I get. I will pay full price for that, because I do for all the Dynasty Warriors company I support. But yeah, this year coming up, man, we do still have some of the stuff that got delayed. But we do have some really interesting and good games coming out this year that's in the pipeline. Real quick, before we wrap things up here, because we've gone kind of long, anything you're looking forward to, anything that's on the horizon the next few months that you're like, hey, I'm going to get that one?
I don't think so, really.
Nothing really?
Well, I got a lot of backlog that I need to get through.
Yeah.
And there's things like some of it's been out for years that I want to play through. Just that came out this year that I want to play through for the PlayStation anyway. It was on PC first, but the Disco Elysium.
Yes.
I'd got that while it was on sale, so I want to play through that.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go back, and I plan on diving back into Sleeping Dogs. The definitive edition.
I have that game. That is an open world game that was criminally underplayed. That game is fantastic, and it is part of the True Crime series. A lot of people don't know that.
So I haven't played it since it came out on like the initial release. So, and I've never played through the definitive edition, so I want to give that some time.
It's a great game.
I want to check out that Guardians. I got the new version of Observer.
Yes, because it left the store for a while, and literally the week I was going to buy it, it left the store. But then they put it back as the redo, and they added stuff. And a lot of people may not know. I love Rutger Hauer. He's one of my favorite actors. He does have done a lot of campy stuff, but he always, weirdly enough, is always treated it, regardless of its campiness or low budgetness, like seriously. And he's just an actor that I just love, and I was like, that's him in there. And it's like one of the last things he did, And now that the Redux is out, I'm like, I need to buy that because it is kind of Blade Runner is cyberpunk with horror elements, and again, we were talking about cyberpunk games. That's one I'd like to get. I'd really like to get that one.
Yeah, so I'd got the new version because it comes with the free upgrade. If you have the Redux version, it comes with the free PS5 upgrade or whatever. So
yeah.
I plan on playing through that, and really, as far as looking forward to, I'm really just looking forward to that next-gen Cyberpunk release, so I can start over again and just give that some full attention.
Yeah.
And do a playthrough like that. I think that's it on the Xbox front. I'm playing Halo. I got some full motion video games to play through.
Yeah, there's a couple that came out. I saw. I think there's one with something in the name of blood or whatever. It was like
I played
the cover.
It's kind of like that. You remember that Condemned movie with Stone Cold? Yes.
It's
like that.
Okay, because I think that's one I've seen.
Serviceable story.
One like I saw Black Clouds is another. There's a couple other. There's a couple other out there.
And I just bought another one 2 days ago that I didn't even know it was out. It somehow. But see, that's why I like these because they come out, and there's a few companies I track, and I know when they're coming out. But it'll be sometimes one will come out, and I won't find it until months later, and it's like this cool surprise. Like, you know.
Yeah.
And it's very much kind of like the visual novels in a sense of like the gameplay elements aren't equal.
Mm-hmm.
So there's another one that I just got, and I forget the name of it. Vegas something, and it's on Xbox.
Oh no, I saw that. I've seen that one. Yeah.
And you gotta like interview people and stuff. So there's a little bit of that.
That's neat. Yeah.
Stuff.
Very neat. Yeah.
So.
That's
the kind of stuff that I'm looking forward to and planning on playing, but a lot of back catalog stuff.
Yep, I'm like you. I do kind of a back catalog. I've played some of these, but not entirely.
One more. I bought Judgment.
Okay, yes, Judgment. Judgment is part of the Yakuza game series. They made a sequel, Final Judgment or whatever, and
Lost Judgment.
Lost Judgment. That's right, Lost Judgment. I had not played Judgment, and it's been on sale a couple times. I've been meaning to buy it, and the only reason that I haven't is because I have Yakuza 0, which I have played through. Anybody, just real quick, if you watch this video, if you've never played Yakuza, it probably arguably one of the absolute best stories, subtitled or not, that you will ever play in any video game. It's that good. It's so enthralling. And then there's a lot of this campy stuff. But I have Yakuza 0, Kiwami 2, and 6. And my fiance, my beautiful wife-to-be, a few months ago, bought me the Yakuza, the other collection. So I ended up with 3, 4, and 5. I have the entire Yakuza series, and I actually have it as a hard copy. I have not bought Judgment or Lost Judgment, but I want to buy it because it is part of that series. I even own, the same people made The Fist of the North Star, which plays no different, except it's you're using Kenshiro from Fist of the North Star, and it does all the crazy.
Dragon, is that part of this Yakuza series, or is it a spin-off?
Which one?
It's like a dragon?
Oh yeah, that is part of the Yakuza series. It is a spin-off, but it takes place in Kamurocho, which is where all the other stuff happens. So, which is the main city. But yes, that's in there, and the people who make that, and then that is actually the first game to be fully voiced American. And it also uses a different combat style. It uses a turn-based, which is different, for the series. But that got absolutely stellar reviews, and it's another one I need to get because, like I said, strangely enough, in the last couple of years, I've been all about, hey, if like I was telling you earlier, the Far Cries. I have them all. I have a folder on my PS4 that says Far Cry, and it's got every game.
Yakuza games are on sale right now.
Yeah. And I have all the Yakuza mainline series. I have all of them. And then I have a folder that's got Warhammer. It says Warhammer games. They put one out a few weeks ago, right before Christmas and all that, and I bought it. It was $40. And that I have every single Warhammer game that is available on the PS4. I have them all. So it's kind of like funny. I have the only 3 games of Warhammer on the 360, but the PS4 is a lot. And it's nice to have. I look at my folder because I put all my games in individual folders, and I'm like, they're like, hey, Warhammer. I was like, yeah, I have all of them. So it's like it's crazy to. So and I do, and those games are. I love Warhammer. Warhammer's great, and Far Cry and all that stuff. And then I have a Yakuza folder that's got all those. I had recently
I got a question for you.
I even recently picked up Mafia 1 and 2.
Oh, yeah.
So I've got all 3 of those games. And Mafia 1 Remastered, if you haven't played it, Dave, it's great.
Yeah. Well, you know me, I'm a completist anyway. So
yeah.
I do that same shit. Yeah, I don't know. With even dumb stuff, like I have this whole Madden series for whatever reason. And I tell you what, I really got it because they were doing like those story modes like the 2K series does. So I got them for like reasons like that.
Yeah.
But I got just a bunch of weird collections like that. But okay, so I got a question for you, but let me kind of tell you before I ask that question. So Judgment, I got it because well, for one, it was on sale. But I got the PS5 version, the remastered PS5 or the enhanced or whatever.
Yeah.
So I got it because I haven't played any of the Yakuza games at all.
No, man, you're missing out. They're fantastic.
Now, you know, I loved Shenmue back in the day, which is kind of what it reminds me of. I realize it's not the same thing, but
no, they're
for
similar.
whatever reason, it kind of reminds me of it. So, now I really like Donnie Yen, the actor.
Donnie Yen's great.
Like, we watched like the Hitman movies and stuff like that. Well, then I ordered a bunch of his movies, like imports and stuff.
Yeah.
And he's got a lot of these like Hong Kong like cop type of movies, right?
Yeah, he's made a bunch of those actually.
So I started getting excited. I'm like, oh, okay, that's like what Judgment reminds me of, you know. And then like I want to do Sleeping Dogs, so I'm like, okay, this is kind of along the lines. Like I love that kind of cop stuff anyway. So that's why I got Judgment to start off with.
Well, then you got to get get into the Chow Yun Fat, like, you know.
Yeah.
Stranglehold. Yeah.
So I'll probably get the Lost Judgment 2 to play after this one. But when I go, so my question then, when I go to the Yakuza games, where do you start?
You start with 0.
Because I know, because that's not technically the first one released, right? But
it's not. But 0 was the first one released in North America. And then it got so big and popular, like, well, shit, we need to bring these other ones over here. No one even thought. But the first one you get is 0, then you play Kiwami 2, and then the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Now, the 3rd, 4th, and 6th, 3, 4, and 5 it's Yakuza and whatever name, right? They'll say Yakuza 3, Yakuza 4, but like 5, and then 6 has the Song of Life. Yakuza 0 starts out with the main character, Jesus Christ, I should know his name, Kazuma Kiryu, and when he's literally like brand new in the Yakuza, right? And Song of Life 6 is literally the end of his story. Like, that's it. That his whole character arc goes through the whole thing. Now, if you buy the collection, the Yakuza collection, you can get one that comes with 0, Kiwami, and Kiwami 2, and then one that comes with like 3, 4, and 5. 6 is standalone, right? The 3, 4, and 5, if you're like, hey, I want to play the 3rd one, right? Even if you've never played 0, 1, or 2, Kiwami 1 and Kiwami 2, it'll say recap. And it'll recap the entire fucking games before that. Like, it'll show you scenes. It'll do so that's kind of nice. So if you are just like, I really want to play 4, or I really want to, because I never played them. I didn't do that because I had played through all of 0, and then I got Kiwami and Kiwami 2 and Song of Life. And I thought, you know what? This sucks, because if I go through 2, I don't want to jump to 6, right? Even though 6 does a recap thing, I was like, I kind of want to play through these stories. And one of the best things, one of the best things about that game is it's an open world. You know, a lot of times you're either going from Kamurocho or another city. Kamurocho, and even though by any definition the map is small, right? But it's incredibly dense and there's a lot of verticality. So even though it is a small map per se, there's so much to do and see. Like you don't really realize, like, it feels way larger than it is. And the interesting thing about the series is, in the later series, what makes it cool is all the weird side shit you can do. Like in 6, you can have like these weird, like you can create, like you have your own gangs, and you make them, and you buy, and you deck them out with clothes, different things, and then you do this like mini game where you're doing like a big gang war all happening at once. And it's all like kind of a Diablo style kind of overhead kind of sort of thing. And, you know, you can do karaoke, and you can play pool, and you can play darts, and you can go drinking, and and later on in the later games, they don't load in and out of stores or buildings. You just walk in and walk out. So that wasn't until the late games that it starts doing that. Judgment will do that, of course. And they all do that now, but like 0 and 1 and 2, they don't. And I'm assuming 3, 4, and 5 don't either, but I haven't played those, you know, like I said. But I didn't want to play. I started playing Kiwami, and it was really good too. It's just got this great, you know, RPG stuff. You walk around, talk to people. They give you like these ridiculously weird side stories where they're like, you kind of like, what? I gotta help this woman who doesn't know how to be a dominatrix, and so you're watching this guy that she's with, dressed up like a baby, because it's, you know, it's very Japanese, people, very Japanese, and you know he's kind of like coaching her behind a curtain. You're like, what the fuck? And when you finish the mission, she'll give you some yen or give you something, right? And you think there's a lot of weird, zany, strange things like that in the game, but that is to break up the main story, because the main story is just so fucking serious, right? So you're just engrossed in this drama and the super serious, because it's Yakuza, this shit's serious, and you're like, but then you do all this stuff outside of that, you're like, that's your, okay, now I can have fun. I can go to the batting cages, I can go bowling, in Kiwami, it might even be 0, you can like do this thing where you kind of like run an escort service, and so these girls, you actually have to dress them up and make their hair, and it's like you have like 4 or 5 girls. I mean, it's done like it's like a creative player, and then you send them on their dates, and you got to manage the money, and it's like, this is weird. And then like, so there's all these weird little mini games that are like its own game in itself. There's a slot car racing thing where you can like build your own car with wheels. It's nuts, man. It's nuts. Yeah. They're great.
And they're always on
great
sale.
games.
So
you got to get them
all the time.
You got to get them.
Like I have Kiwami, I think is a PS Plus thing.
It probably was.
Free. But like 0 and like Kiwami 2 and 6, they're all on sale for like $5 a piece.
Yeah, you just play through 0, Kiwami 2, and then it goes into 3, 4, 5, and then 6, The Song of Life. And that's the end of Kazuma Kiryu's character's arc, right? Like, it's over. That's done, right? It actually kind of comes full circle, which is really neat. But then you get into Judgment, which takes place in the same game world. And I want to say Kazuma Kira's cameos in that, but either way, you're playing this other character, and it's neat because you'll be like, it's always Kamataro or Kamaritro, whatever. You kind of like, even though it might put new stores in and new things to do, it's still the same shape. So you're like, okay, you kind of have a feeling of what to do. And Judgment takes place in the same universe, and then, of course, Fist of the North Star, which is like, same people, takes place in that anime, but it's plays identical to Yakuza, except the fighting and combat is, you know, and he's making people explode and shit. So it's like you're playing as Kenshiro. You can actually download, you pay for it, a couple bucks, but you can play through the game as Kazuma Kiryu. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you haven't, anybody out there who hasn't played Yakuza, Kazuma Kiryu, while he is a Yakuza, he's got a heart of gold. It's just so well written of a game. It's so well written, and you just, in Kazuma Kiryu, you get really engrossed in who he is as a person in the game. It's so insane. I actually had always knew about the series, but never got to play it. And so when Zero came out, I bought it the day it came out, and I was playing through the story, and I was like, this is, even though it's subtitled and you read it, it's like, holy shit, like this story is insane, and it's so good and so well done that I hold that game series up in the highest praise. I put its story up against Last of Us. It's just as good. It's just as good as the Uncharted stories and the Uncharted series, which are really good. It's as good as any game you've played that has had some of those games with the really top-notch writing. Yakuza does this, and it makes you want to play and see the outcome and what happens to Kazuma Kiryu. You end up giving a shit about him, and you're like, what the fuck? I mean, I don't know how many times I was playing it when the Zero came out. I was sitting there going like, what the fuck? Oh my god, I've got it. What is going to happen next? Like, and it just engrosses you, and then playing the side content, it's crazy,
because
man.
Like right
it's nuts.
now, at least
it's
with
nuts.
that sale, you could pretty much get the whole series for like $70.
Yeah, but it's worth it. There's just hundreds of hours of gameplay there.
Yeah, like, was it 7 games for the price of one? You know, and they're older games for sure, but you know, I'll probably start with that, the Judgment.
Yeah, because it's standalone. It's its own thing. It's its own series.
Yeah. But I probably will get those other ones because they're on sale.
Yeah, Judgment is one I've been meaning to get because it's part of that, and the gameplay in that is great. It's really the fighting is just brutal and like insane, because it's like just the stuff you can do, and you slam a guy's face into the fucking concrete, and just, it's like you pick up any item and just fucking bash him with a bike, and you earn yen, and you do level up and do things, and then you have like just so much side shit to do. There's even a little shop that's really small in a back alley in Kamatro, and you go in there, and it says, hey, it's these girls, you can watch, and you're watching them on TV, and they're like very scantily clad. They don't show anything, but you do see them. They're real girls, like real famous kind of like video girls over there, right? And you watch it, and the funny thing, the only thing in this room is the TV and a box of tissues, so it's implied what he's doing, and you get like an achievement if you've watched like every video. And then they have this mode where you can walk around in first person, but you'll find like these collectible cards of like the girls. They're just scattered out all around the city, but you can't see them unless you're in first person mode. That's how you can like scope things out. So they do all these really unique little things to make the game feel so much bigger than it is. And then there's like phone booths, and you save at the phone booths, and you run across a lot of crazy and zany characters, but it's such an endearing game. All the zany stuff and kind of like over-the-top weird stuff that goes on, you're like, this is fucking weird, or this is really crazy, or you're laughing about it. It's kind of like, this is interesting. It's just to break up the seriousness of the story, because the story is just so involved, and you're like, oh. It's like, and so you need a break from that, because it is like, it's crazy. It's just a nutty game. But I tell people all the time, What's a good game to play? Yakuza. You just got to play it. It's start with zero. It's fantastic.
You start with zero, $4.99 right now.
Yeah, there you go. And you know what? Each game series introduces new elements. I spent a lot of time like at the fucking batting cages. I spent a ton of time at the arcade and playing, Outrun and Space Harrier, and it's like the full games are in there. There's Sega Arcade, and then I spent a lot of time, I'm gonna bowl, and then there was like this game tournament, and then I think Kiwami 2 has the slot car race where you put those little cars in the slots and they go everywhere, and you can there's an entire mechanic of I can buy these tires and this body and do this and all this customization for my car and race and earn money, and you're like, you could spend hours doing that because it's a game unto itself. So there's a lot of that in the Yakuza series. I do too. It's fantastic.
Red Dead 2, I can't tell you how long I spent at the poker table just drinking poker.
Yeah. But if you want to get the Yakuzas, yeah, absolutely, 100% recommend them. They're all excellent. They have great fucking game worlds. Stupidly good story, writing's on point, and just it's fun to play, going to the bar and do the little karaoke mini game, and they're singing the Japanese songs that just lyrics are just like, what the fuck, or play pool or play darts or go bowling or go to the batting cages or go to the arcades or go see the women or you get into the whole nightclub thing actually. And you also don't always play as Kazuma Kiryu. There's another character in the game, Mizami or whatever his name is, or he's kind of crazy, but he slowly kind of gets out of that as the game series evolves, and sometimes you have to play as him because he sort of is intertwined with Kazuma Kiryu in a way. So sometimes it's neat that they break that up, and he has different fighting styles, and it's just such a great game series. I can't praise it enough.
A world to dive into, it looks like.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll stream. Maybe I'll do some streaming of Judgment or so.
Yeah.
I was gonna play through it and then maybe get Lost Judgment, but Lost Judgment's half off right now.
Yeah, it's a sequel. Yeah, it's just I originally thought Lost Judgment wasn't a sequel. I thought it was like a better version of the original until I looked into it. I was like, oh, it's a sequel. Shit.
Yeah. Because the PS5 one. Judgment, of course it looks better, but it also has all the DLC and stuff.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that's really nice. Yeah.
So then, of course the sequel, and then
yeah,
all these others, other than Like a Dragon. I think that's PS5 as well.
Yeah, Like a Dragon is all part of the Yakuza series. I don't know if Kazuma Kiryu makes an appearance in that, or it's just but his story really effectively ends in 6. But but I know with Fist North Star, it's made by that Ryuguta or whatever the company it's called, and they did that too, and it's very, very good. I love Fist North Star. It's the first anime I ever watched, so I've loved the anime ever since. I love anime games, and when I bought it, I was like, oh, this may be made Yakuza. This plays like Yakuza. This is fantastic. Except, and you can go out into the desert open world with this vehicle, and there's so much to find and do. And then you got the main town. And I was like, I've enjoyed that game immensely because it's more Yakuza, except in my favorite anime. So it's great. So definitely, even look into that one. I mean, because it is a blast to play, and it's a lot of fun. Fist North Star, Lost Bear. Yeah, it's very good. It's a very good game. So totally worth the time. Well, man, I know we have been talking for a while. It is almost 2. I do have to get up early to take the little one to school, but at 7. So so it's kind of getting late in the day. But no, I want to thank you, John, for joining me here at the Gaming Roundtable. I know we went long. I don't know if anybody's going to watch a nearly 3-hour video, but they should, because this is what we're about. We've been having to do that. I've gotten a lot of messages from people that all are saying the same thing, which is Kinar Bizarid said Vum period in go. Some guy's name I cannot pronounce, who's Russian, says vor.ingo. Then somebody named Bayman Nabodi says vor.red. And then Levon Fievel says Vum in go. I guess they're wanting me to play Evolve. Guys, I know you're from overseas and you may not understand what I have to say. I only play this because me and my the Gaming Roundtable is part of Unpaid Gamers. Please subscribe to the channel on YouTube. And John here, Posthuman Guy, is the founder, and so we sit at this round table, so to speak, proverbial, to wax information, and we talked about the year of 2021. I'm not playing Evolve. I just let it play in the background because there's something going on at least, and it will, you can see some of the gameplay of Evolve. But just to let you all know, and if you don't understand me because you're all from, overseas or whatever, I apologize, but I do not speak your all's language. But no, this has been great, man, talking about the year in review. And there's probably a dozen other stories we could cover, but, we don't have that much time to, hours and hours and hours, to talk about all the little things. I just was happy to touch base on some of the games we're playing, some of the stuff we're looking forward to, and just to talk a little bit about that end of things, but also to cover those stories and some of those things that's happened with the Epic Games and the Activision Blizzard walkout and the stuff that we've been talking about. So it's been great, man. I appreciate you doing this video. And
there should be like a monthly thing.
Yeah, I think maybe we should try to start doing something like once a month, just to kind of maybe go over some stuff or just talk about the games we're playing and just kind of get into that. That would be great. I'm down for that because it's like,
We'll be shorter that way.
Yeah, we gotta be a little shorter that way. We don't have to talk for hours. But no, like I said, I hope you all do check out this video. And please, do you know if what's his name, our third guy, Banlos, is he still doing the Apex Legends? Is he still streaming?
So. I haven't seen anything on it in a long time.
Okay, because I've always kind of throw his name out there, but
yeah, I haven't seen videos in forever.
Okay, so he may not be doing them no more. So just to let you all know, find out for me. But I've always shouted out to Banlos. I always, the Apex Legend, the man, the myth, the Apex Legend, playing those streams for you. Posthuman Guy here, John here is going to be still doing those streams for you and those plays for you. Casual plays and stuff like that for you on these games, which is great. I do love those. So if you're ever interested in a particular game or game series, he plays that stuff. You can see that. Me, I usually stream. I did the October thing. I will be doing that again this year. I'll be doing the Spooktacular month of October because there's other horror games out there that I haven't played or bought yet. There's a lot out there. So I'll be doing that again because that was a lot of fun. I'm going to try to be a little bit more.
Those streams are really good.
Yeah, thank you.
I enjoyed it.
They were fun. They were fun. There was a couple of games that just made me jump out of my damn skin. I was like, what the fuck? And but no, those are. But I want to bring you here coming up, just to let you know, on the channel. On the Gaming Roundtable, I am going to be playing some Aliens Fireteam Elite for you guys with commentary. So, because that's just one of you got to play that game. It is so good, and I'm so enjoying it. I love it. It's frenetic. It's fun. So I'll be showing you a little bit of that game. And coming up in February, obviously, I said it earlier, but definitely going to be showcasing some Omega Forces. Dynasty Warrior 9 Empires. So it's going to be interesting since 9 was an open world situation, and they're not going to do that in this one, but they're going to still have fairly large maps, and I don't know how they're going to work it all out, but I'm going to bring you that the day it comes out. I'll be streaming that. So I do have some stuff coming up in the future. I'm going to try to, I may not be able to stream every night, but I am going to try to stream a little bit more often, mainly because the holidays are over. I'm free of the COVID-19 virus now, and I'm well, which is great. That was just no fun. And that lasted for the last 2 weeks of December, which was no fun. And so I know I hadn't streamed in a long time, but no. And again, I appreciate.
I haven't either.
Yeah.
if you stuck around this long and you don't know, People's Machine, normally, it's People's Machine now, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Streams normally with commentary, and I stream without, just gameplay.
Yes, yes.
And, the biggest reason is because I love the Let's Play series and stuff. So I'll find that, because I swear it's so hard to find gameplay where somebody's not talking over it.
It's almost impossible.
It drives me nuts when I want to. Like, I just don't always want that. I like just kind of seeing the game for what it is. I don't really. But the commentary stuff's cool too. So I think having the good mix is cool.
Yeah. No, that's very true.
So we kind of offer both in that sense.
Yeah. I think also too, I've been kind of playing. I've been playing a lot of Rebel Galaxy Outlaw, which is fantastic, a space game, and I think I might do I've been wanting to do a week of Ideal Factory games, which are these anime games that I play, that they make the Neptunia series, but I've also been thinking maybe doing a week of just those sci-fi games that I play, those space games, stuff like Elite Dangerous, Rebel Galaxy, those type of games, because there's a lot. Weirdly enough, I also own all those too, so it's kind of like it's another thing I could do a week of, because I do like doing those week-long, every night a video, and showcase some gameplay from some of my favorite genres, and so I may be doing that coming up. Yeah, so
and
we'll see.
I don't know if you'd ever do it, but I think it'd be cool if you just did sometime, like, because there's some games like I don't want to play, but I would watch.
Yeah.
Even if you did like a multi-part of a single game, like a full playthrough of something.
Yes.
Somewhere along the way would be cool. Just an idea to kick around.
Yeah, I rarely ever like play a game to its completion. I think as I do bounce around a lot between games I'm kind of wanting to play, and I'll play for a few hours. I seem to do things are good in small doses for me sometimes. I do, like I said, I do have a tendency to bounce around a lot, and sometimes I'm always telling myself, well, maybe I should try to not bounce around so much, but but Desiree has, my fiance Desiree, has said the same thing. She says, you ought to just, try to play, like, just play a game from start to finish. And I said, yeah, I might, I should do that. It's kind of, that's one of those things. Yeah.
Like, there's games I really want to check out. That goes in that Disco with me, but like, I'm making myself finish Halo.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. You gotta go through it.
Going back to the multiplayer is one thing, but like the campaign, you
gotta get through it.
So I'm lazy. That's what I've been doing for the past year or so.
Yeah.
And it's really been good for me, because I've been finishing games, and I've had that struggle where I bounce around too much. So.
Yeah, that's been my issue.
Good thing.
Just bouncing around constantly, I find myself not finishing. Yeah. So. Yeah, because you get these games, and we talked about it before. It's like, well, here's another open world game that I got to sink 300 hours in. It's like, shit,
Now Halo's open world. So.
Yeah, it's like everything's got to be that now. It's just, but that's happenstance of the genre. But it's like, not every game has to be. But it seems like a lot of that is still a thing. And Far Cry 6. I pretty much played consistently. Like last week, I was sick with COVID. I played it every night, and just I'm not even 30% done with it, but I'm already at like max rank for the game. Like, I think, or I'm like, the highest rank place you can go is rank 8, and I'm like rank 7. So it's like I'm like, oh, that's just for me playing the game, just to try to make it easier. But yeah, I'm gonna have to, because I would like to show y'all some Far Cry 6, and there's some games I have bought recently. I would like to showcase and show you. Aliens Fireteam in particular is one that I'm just kind of like, this game is great. So it's like I really would like to get some of the other stuff that people are showing, the gameplay and the aliens fight, but I want to show you some of the other stuff, like the role-play game stuff and the create a character, and there's different things you can do that brings about that leveling system and all that stuff. So I'd like to show everybody that stuff, just because Fireteam Elite is not just a cover shooter. It's got all this other stuff going for it. So it's really good. I mean, It really is. So I have that coming up on the channel here soon. And again, John will probably be bringing you this, hopefully some Judgment Let's Plays and some other stuff that's in the pipeline, and you know, whatever else is going on. So again, you want to go to Unpaid Gamers on YouTube.com, and please subscribe to the channel in full. You can check out Post-Human Guy. Doesn't look like Banlost is streaming anymore on the Apex Legends, but we'll find out about that. But you know, we're going to start doing a little bit more now that the holiday's over and the other stuff that's been going on is over, and because you can stay pretty busy. And we're going to try to do a little bit more for you here. The Gaming Roundtable, of course, if you do, please hit the subscribe button, hit that like and notification bell if you want to see more of what we have to offer between both of us or whatever. I think we will try to shore up and try to do something once a month, me and him, talk about some stuff, and like I said, it won't be so, you know, 3-hour video. And if you just want to email me, you can hit me up on gamingroundtableupg@gmail.com. That is all one word, gamingroundtableupg@gmail.com. And again, really appreciate my special guest, who's founder of Unpaid Gamers. It's always good to have him on the show because John is you're very insightful. It's great to hear your side and your opinion on things, and we agree on about everything. You know, when it comes to this stuff, we occasionally have disagreements, but it's very rare, and it's nice to get different sides and different takes, different opinions. So again, I look forward to doing a monthly thing with you because might be a fun thing to do, just to kind of get in there and talk about, you know, hey, what we've been playing and what's going on and what we like and things coming up. So no, I would enjoy that immensely. So again, thank you for being sitting down here at the Gaming Roundtable tonight and making this ridiculously long video. No, it's been really fun. Well, folks, I am signing off here. Again, thank you for joining the Gaming Roundtable. I am the People's Machine. This has been an excellent episode of the Gaming Roundtable, reviewing 2021, the different stories in the gaming industry that came out there. It seems to be a lot. There's a lot of negative. Hopefully this year will be really positive. And again, please check out Unpaid Gamers on YouTube.com and Twitch.com. I stream mainly to YouTube, but I occasionally do Twitch. And you can check us out there. Please subscribe to the channel and please hit the like button, hit the bell, hit the note so you get those notifications when we put videos up. And we will see you next time on the Gaming Roundtable. And as always, gamers, good gaming.